Hey everybody, Brotherlands UK, Matthew Turner here alongside Ashley Sode and Anthony Fitzpatrick to join us shortly, and then I'm hoping that Andy Burrows will be with us at about 10 o'clock UK time, which would be 5 p.m. Eastern time. He's just messaged me 30 seconds ago saying, I'll try my best, mate, I'm an hour or so from home, so he may be later. I'm just going to message him back briefly. We're not live on the audio show at the moment, so we're still getting set up as we are. Bear with me a second. Ash, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing okay. Still having to use my phone as my internet, but that sucks. Oh, practice report 4 just came out. Let's have a look. As we say that. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Let's have a look at the designations. Pat O'Connor, Zeitler out, and X-Rate Shaw questionable.
Zeitler out.
Zeitler out, so it'll be Mahogany in at right guard. That makes me happy. A bit.
I'm sad about O'Connor. I knew he wasn't going this week, but you say Rakestraw questionable?
Yes.
All right.
I'll see if I can find the Commanders one while we're on.
Yeah.
But you just because I just looked down at my phone because I said about use my phone's the internet, and I looked down. I'm like, oh, it's just popped up. Let's get defense. Let's get the offense. No.
Welcome to our good friend Jared Taylor in the chat, who's a Commanders fan. Hope you enjoy the show when we get started. If you've got any questions for us as we keep going through, then please don't hang back. We love a good open discussion, so that'd be great. It makes the show. It makes the show to have a good debate and a good chat back and forward, especially because you all know the Commanders much better than we do, and as much as we've done the research, we're also here to learn. So
exactly. First, me and you out of everyone on this show, the two that just like to waffle on about stuff. So,
I mean,
here we go.
Ant is not free of that designation.
True. There we go. Commanders one's out as well.
Okay.
Linebackers Jordan McGee and Michael Walker are both questioned. No, McGee is out with hamstring. Walker is new to the injury report, so linebacker Michael Walker with an illness. He's been ruled questionable. And then our favourite tight end is questionable but was full practice with his hamstring. Everyone else has no designation.
No designation for Wagner?
No designation. Limited. And head coach Dan Quinn said he'll be playing for certain. He said it about 3-4 hours ago in his presser.
I knew they said he'd be going, but I thought still with the fact that he had not practiced 2 days this week that he'd at least be questionable.
Nah.
Can you post that in the Discord?
Yeah, I'm just saving it onto my Twitter so I can just get it. Oh. Shit.
What?
One of LSU's freshman QBs has been in a car accident, it seems.
Oh, jeez. That sucks. Yeah, Jared, I heard he practiced today, and then the head coach came out and said he's definitely playing. But it's just one of those things where if you see someone on the injury report, you expect them to have a questionable designation. It's just... It's one of those things that, because you're not meant to get that wrong, that...
Yeah.
Did not practice limited is so unlikely to be no designation at all unless they've held him out as effectively vet rest, which I imagine that's probably what they've done then.
It probably is, but because he had an injury, you can't just put vet rest. I think you have to put it on for at least the first practice after the game where he's carrying that injury designation because of the rules. So because he's already had it on there, they just kept it all the way through instead of saying hamstring/vet rest. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so Yankov is still technically on IR as well.
Yeah.
Questionable Michael.
Yeah. Who, if I remember rightly, used to play on the Seahawks.
Didn't every linebacker used to play on the Seahawks? I swear. They recycle them like no one else.
Is he Michael Walker? Oh, no, he didn't. It's Atlanta. Atlanta was the one I was thinking of.
Why is it always that we attribute players to have played at the Seahawks or having played for us and then played for the Seahawks? Something about that team.
Yeah, exactly. It's because they're both bird team. It makes sense otherwise here then, because obviously Dan Quinn used to be at Atlanta, but it's because they're bird team. So yeah, he was at Atlanta, Chicago, Raiders, Pittsburgh, now Washington.
Mm.
There is a former Lion in their linebacker room.
And I've lost Ash. That's good. Hopefully he'll be back in a minute. He doesn't have any internet at home. He's been working on his phone internet, which is not ideal. Here we go. He's back.
There we go. God damn it. I was saying there is a former line in their linebacker room, though. But he didn't play linebacker for us.
Nick Ballore.
Yeah.
Fullback.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm aware, he still does a bit of fullback every now and again. Maybe not for the Commanders, but he did do for the Seahawks.
Yeah, definitely for the Seahawks, yeah. I'll have a look now, see if he's done any for this year, but...
Oh my God, that freshman quarterback is 17.
Yeah.
That's awful. Thank God he's breathing.
Yeah. Ballore has not done any fullback this year.
Okay.
I'll keep that up anyway, because I probably need the PFF stats.
Jared thinks that you should not have the Lions flag with the lion pointing down.
Unfortunately, that's just how the flag is. It's where like the holes are. So unfortunately, I can't really do anything about it.
No, indeed.
Plus, would you rather see my campus of dirty washing?
I mean, got to take the W while we can, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, Anthony's coming in the building. Let's go. It could be the last preview show of the season. And I don't want Lions fans to get ahead of themselves, and I really hate how much they have gotten ahead of themselves for this game. Like, this is not certain by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Actually worries me a little bit. There he is. Heyo.
We're doing the advert.
Oh, when you want to say wayo, wayo,
Wayo.
Boom, boom, boom.
When you want to say heyo. Oh man, I just love being silly. Being silly is the absolute best. How you doing, Ant?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good.
Finishing off a cinnamon bun.
Oh, nice.
Oh, jealous.
See, I kind of don't trust Sarah a little bit because she doesn't like cinnamon. She doesn't like cinnamon buns.
Wow.
It's shocking to me.
I can tell it's in winter because I'm eating a lot of things that are cinnamon based and drinking a lot of things that are ginger based. It's that time of year.
Yeah.
I've been drinking ginger beer like it's going out of fashion.
So it looks like Andy's saying he doesn't want to say he can make it and then he doesn't make it home. He's suggesting his friend called Scott, who hosts the 1 Point Safety Show. So we're going to invite him on for about 5 p.m. Eastern and we'll do our bit otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I've let him know to come in at... Oh, and he's going to text us tomorrow about time for his show. I don't know, Ant, if you were intending on doing that or what.
I mean, I'm free, so it's up to whatever.
Fair.
I don't mind.
Jared says, move the other posters and put the Lions flag horizontal with the ceiling. Bam. Lol, stop, sorry. And then says, yo, Lions, take it easy on us, K, lol. I don't think... I mean, it's not in our DNA. But equally, I don't think we're going to have to take it easy on you because you guys, at least in terms of success rate and what you did to Tampa Bay in that defense, I think you're going to have a modicum of success.
Yeah.
in this game. And I mean, all it's going to take is Goff to have a slightly down
Texans
day.
game.
And, well, not even that. If Goff throws one pick, it really throws the cat amongst the pigeons for the whole game. Jared asked what the time is for the game. So it's an 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff, which is 1 a.m. UK time. So it's challenging.
It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. It's not every day you're in the divisional round.
True.
Yeah.
We're the only ones left from last year's divisional round at this point.
What?
As in, so you look at, how like last in the AFC, all 4 divisional round teams from last year and this year's one.
Yeah.
We're the only ones in the NFC from last year's divisional round to still be in the divisional round this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the 49ers didn't make it. And
Tampa didn't make it.
Tampa didn't make it. And who was the other divisional round team? So who did the 49ers beat in the divisional?
The
I'm trying to remember, but I just...
Packers. It was the Packers, yeah. You're right.
No, it wasn't. No, was it?
Yeah, the Packers destroyed the Cowboys.
Oh.
Yes. Packers destroyed the Cowboys, lost to the 49ers.
Yeah. It's because it came up with something different. They were saying Cowboys. I was like, Then I noticed I was like, I had the wrong date on it.
All right. As always, guys, get the questions in for the show. That'll be fantastic. We've got our new guest coming on, and I've got to note who that is. Scott. Scott from the 1 point
safety
show. Okay. Maybe I should actually just check that out. Just so I can see what it's all about. Although searching on Twitter for... Oh, there it is. 1 point safety here. UK-based Washington Commanders fans talking ball. From Northwich. Cool. Give him a follow. All right. Are you guys ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Rural Alliance UK podcast, episode 323, The House of Pain. My name's Matthew Turner alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick and Ashley Soden. How are you doing, boys?
Doing good. The excitement's making me want to jump around.
No, and no. No.
Oh, to be fair, considering the pain that Deron Payne has gone through the last week, the fact that he is not even questionable for this game, he is a go, is particularly impressive.
Don't double down on your terrible joke. Like, it's just stop it. It doesn't work once. It's not going to work a second time.
Why does it make you want to execute us like Killen?
No, it makes me want to use the Mike McDaniel GIF, which I've not used much recently. I need to get it out of storage, actually.
We are, of course, here to preview the Washington Commanders divisional round game, which is happening this Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UK time. We, of course, will be live on the call doing the play-by-play throughout that game, so we hope you can join us for that. We're going to go through the matchup. We're going to go through the Commanders and what they look like, the betting, the injuries, and everything else. People in the chat, if you've got questions as we go, please do get them in. But first, please do come and join us on our Discord channel. The link is in the live chat right now. It's a great place to chat with us all year round. It's not just for the Lions, guys, so if you are a Commanders fan in the chat and you want to come say hi, please do come. That would be absolutely fantastic. College football podcast, and which you did yesterday. What did you talk about?
Lots of things. It was an open forum-y type thing with tons of stuff in there. So yeah, just a smorgasbord of college ball stuff. So
well,
yeah.
And you went back and looked at the semi-finals and looked ahead to the Natty.
A little bit. It was a smorgasbord of things on there, really. So it was a little bit of everything. We played a little bit of be the GM for the top 10 teams in the NFL draft and what they should do with the picks and that, and did some little games. So it was all good fun.
Sounds like a great time. If you're interested in the draft, if you haven't got enough of a draft fix yet as a Lions fan, then go and listen to it because it's great value. Please go and like this episode, sub to the podcast. You guys know what to do with that at this point. And go and support Lions Nation Unite, Herman Moore's project to bring the best in Lions content creators together. And with Twitch-affiliated YouTube monetized. And there's a tip jar down below if you're enjoying what you're listening to. Right, some news. And finally, for the Lions, just to talk, there's not a lot of news, but on injuries and no practices, Taylor Decker missed practice this week. But that is suspected to be the birth of his new child. There's no designation for him, so he should be back. But congratulations to Taylor if that's the case. And David Montgomery, just under a month after his suspected season-ending injury, is a go for this game. He will be playing, and he will not be on a snap count. I know we'll get into the wider injuries to talk about this game later, but boys, Monty, what a story. I mean, when the injury happened, he was definitely done for the year. Then it was he needs a second opinion. It needs a third opinion. Quietly confident, but maybe he'll come back for the Super Bowl. And now by the divisional round, not only is he back on a snap count, but he's a full go. I mean, it's an unbelievable turnaround.
It really is. Like, obviously, we saw it live when we were calling it, like, sort of calling the game on my birthday. We're like, oh, shit. It was part of that game where just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Obviously, we had the Monty injury, which, yes, supposedly he needed surgery, and Aleem obviously did his ACL. There's a load of injuries. We're just like, shit. To have him back, especially considering what we saw with Gibbs in his stead, just gives us that extra little element, because there were times where maybe having Monty in the lineup would have been useful. For example, that fourth down where we threw the ball to JMO and it just missed rather than just punching it through the middle. Just gives us that extra little bit. And the funniest bit was just like, I saw on Twitter that I was supposed to have surgery. I didn't hear that. That was news to me. So the fact that all this stuff was coming out, maybe reporters got caught up in the hype, like, oh, he's getting surgery, he's out for the season, kind of building on each other. When in reality, he was just quietly going to different doctors, seeing what could happen. Obviously, surgery would have been an option, but him and the team wanted an option where he could just rehab it because it wasn't as bad as it seemed, and get him back for now. And now it's happening. And as of Saturday night, Sonic and Knuckles are both back in action.
And any thoughts on David Montgomery?
Well, it's just good to have him back, and I think it just goes to show the mentality of this team that their season's never done. You know, they say the injury might keep them out, but these guys will work their ass off to get back here, because I think they know something special's going off this year, and you don't want to miss it as a player. You may not get this opportunity again to be able to go straight down to the Super Bowl and win one. So, you know, it just speaks to how tough this team's built, that these guys are like, nah, my season's not over yet. I'm going to get back. I'm going to put myself in the best possible situation. And it's great for us because, you know, as good as Gibbs has been in his absence, you do. The reason Gibbs has been so good is because you can rotate these guys in and out, keep them fresh and keep them at 100% so that they're there and able to, you know, do the worst they can. So now Monty's back. That means we can just rein Gibbs in just a little bit, keep him fresh and keep him healthy for the Super Bowl. So, you know, teams are beaten up by that. Having these two in tandem just shows, you know, you can use them all game as long as you need them, because they're always fresh and healthy. So that's the main thing. We've got the tandem back. The depth have had some good time in his absence as well, which is good. Like, you know, this is the one you want him back for, because Washington, that run defense is going to be a big bullseye on it for us, and having him here now, you're like, yeah, we can really go and take this to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Many thanks to Brent DeWitt, $5 super chat on YouTube, and says MCDC's philosophy is fourth and Lombardi from here on out. Going to be a great postseason. New Orleans is the next away game. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Thank you very much, Brent. Let's talk Commanders, shall we? Including the postseason, they are now 13-5, and their season has been a lot of very good runs. Not unlike their last game that we actually played against the Vikings. Started off with a loss at Tampa Bay, but followed up that with wins versus the Giants, at Cincinnati, at Arizona, and versus Cleveland. A loss at Baltimore in the middle there, but then wins versus Carolina, versus Chicago, and at the Giants. But then 3 straight losses versus Pittsburgh, at Philadelphia, and versus Dallas, before ending the season with straight victories against Tennessee, at the Saints, versus Philadelphia, versus Atlanta in overtime, at Dallas, and at Tampa Bay, which is 6 straight wins to end the season. They are on a hot streak. The betting for this game, the Commanders are 4-1. That's plus 400. Detroit are 11-2 on. That's minus 550. That means the Lions are 9.5 point favourites for this game. The over-under is 55.5, which is one of the highest over-unders I've seen in a long time at the divisional round stage. Injuries-wise for Detroit, Zeitler and O'Connor are both out for Detroit. Questionable is the cornerback Ennis Rakestraw. And then for Washington, linebacker McGee is out. Questionable and newly on the injury report is Michael Walker, the linebacker, as well as tight end Colston Yankoff, who is returning from injured reserve. Otherwise, not a lot to speak about in terms of injury for Washington. They had a few big names that had some time out this week, but none of the others have any designations whatsoever. That includes Deron Payne, who last week had a severe dislocation of one of his fingers, looked really rough, and Bobby Wagner, who did not practice with an ankle on Tuesday or Wednesday, but came back on Thursday, and he is a go for this game. Boys, both teams coming into this relatively healthy. Zeitler is going to be a miss, but we know that we have got a capable backup potentially in Christian Mahogany coming in.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, he's a rookie. He's missed all training camp, missed basically half the season. But that game where he had to come in for Glasgow after kind of coming back from an FI, taking a couple of weeks, seemingly overtaking Ashika and Nisha as the top interior guy. I thought he came in and did a pretty good job in his stead, and now he's getting this chance to audition out at right guard, which, according to most people, will be his natural position because he's played there mostly at Boston College. Just the whole thing coming into the draft cycle out of it, that supposedly one of his legs is shorter than the other, so he can only play a right guard. This could be his real audition now, get in a high pressure situation to maybe be one of our starting guards properly next year, because if he looks good here, makes our decision a bit easier with potentially re-signing Zeitler if he does want to re-sign. Obviously, me and Matt both theorized on Monday that if we win the Super Bowl, he could walk off into the sunset like Whips did with the Rams a couple of years ago. This makes our decision a bit easier if he plays really well. If not, then we know he still does have that capability in him. It just means that we might have to look for another veteran option, stopgap at one of them while we wait for him to fully develop. But he'll be able to do well in Zeitler's stead. O'Connor might be a big miss because, again, that's yet another interior defensive line injury, though it means that the defensive lineman, Jonah Williams, who we obviously brought in about 2 months ago now, when we had to start having this spate of injuries on the defensive line, he might finally be active again after playing that first week after we picked him up and basically being an inactive there on out. Rakestraw, nice to see him questionable. Hopefully he'll come off IR to give us another option on the outside, because obviously we're threadbare at that outside corner spot behind the top two guys now, because obviously Carlton's still out with his broken jaw. Arnold's coming back from his foot injury. Nice to see he's not got a designation, but it's literally just Arnold, Robertson, and Van Dor now. So just having another guy that can play outside would be very nice just in case, because damn, if any team knows about needing depth for the secondary, it's us, because just look at the spate of cornerback injuries we've had over the past couple of years. So it'd be nice to see him back. As for the Commanders, nice to see our favourite tight end might be coming off IR. Obviously, there's a reason why I chose my name today. The other two, McCall Walker, decent sort of inside linebacker, fits the kind of mould that Dan Quinn likes, because obviously he does, because he was drafted to Atlanta where Dan Quinn's from. And McGee might be a big miss, but Walker might be a sort of not a key guy. He's not really a starter for them, but a decent sort of run defender and can do a bit of coverage. Him being out makes it a bit easier for us, I think.
And Zeitler's going to be a miss, isn't he? And Pat O'Connor has been very capable as a rotation piece in the middle. He'll be a miss too.
Yeah, obviously you want as many people healthy as possible, but if you're going to lose some, you're going to pick injuries up. You're going to have guys out there. You've just got to make do, as we've seen we can do without Zeitler. We've managed in his absence, and a rotational D lineman is a rotational D lineman. If that's the worst of our problems, then we're pretty healthy coming into this. So, it's going to be a shame that they're not ready to go, but hopefully you should still see them in the playoffs if you make it past this. It's like not like we're not going to see them again, and we still got more than enough in the tank to take this Washington team down. So, yeah, hopefully we get to see them next week when we progress. In terms of Washington, like this is a really great feel good story this year, which is the concern over this because we were the great feel good story last year, and we know from experience that these teams who come in with there's no expectation on them really. A lot of people have already written them off. People are expecting them to lose. They've got a free shot to come and shock the world as it would be. So you've got to give them all due credit for what they've done. I mean, just like think where they were 12 months ago. Like you're telling me that 12 months ago we'd have been predicting that they'd have been a divisional round opponent for us. We'd have laughed. I think the majority of the NFL would have laughed. Like not to say that the new regime wouldn't get them there, but the fact that they're there in 1 year is crazy. And they're playing good ball. They've just taken down a Tampa team who beat us. So these are no mugs. And like I say, they've got nothing to lose. They're full of beans. The fans are vigorous, ready to go. Again, that was us last year, and we know how dangerous these teams are. So we've got to be careful. Like we know we've got a much better team. Like we know we've got a much better team. We know we're at home. We're gonna have a deafening atmosphere there. We're gonna have everything going for us, and we know that. But at the same time, and I know this doesn't matter for us because Dan thinks the same way. Like he'll treat them like they're prime patriots, and that we're the underdogs in this. But it's going to be really interesting, just because again they've nothing to lose. So how well can they play? Just how far have they come? Just how much have they got in them? Can they come out and go toe to toe with us with our grit personality and break us down? It'll be answered in a couple of days' time. I don't think they will, but never say never. Any given Sunday exists for a reason in the NFL.
It really
Luckily
does.
for us, we're playing on a Saturday, so
Any given weekend.
You do try really hard to annoy us, I swear. Like, really
sometimes.
hard. Moving on just briefly to the players on IR, just to let you know what they're missing. They are missing what would be their third wide receiver, although De'Ami Brown is doing well to take over that role. But wide receiver Noah Brown is on season-ending IR. So is running back Kazmir Allen, defensive tackle Haggai Ndubuzi, as well as defensive tackle Norrell Pollard, safety Tyler Owens, and former Lions kicker Austin Seibert. For this team, the overall metrics by the different major analytics organizations, PFF have them overall 20th, DVOA 10th, EPA 7th, so a big disparity between those three metrics as to what people think of them. On offense, PFF has them 13th, DVOA 6th, and EPA 4th, so big disparities there too. An efficient offense that maybe doesn't pass the eye test for PFF. And then on defense, PFF has them 29th, DVOA has them 23rd, but EPA has them 13th. So again, much more efficient team overall in terms of expected points added versus the defense adjusted metrics and the PFF eye test metrics. So interesting to see the disparities on that team. This may be the biggest disparity, at least this deep into the season, that I've seen in quite some time. Looking at the overall team, let's show you the depth chart, and we will start with their offense, hoping that this works, and it does. Fantastic. I don't know why Brian Robinson's image isn't coming up, so apologies for that. So on offense, they have Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback sensation, backed up by Marcus Mariota, who in his one outing this year was exceptionally good, and former Lions quarterback Jeff Driscoll at QB3. Running back, they start off with Brian Robinson Jr. They also have back from injury reserve Austin Eckler, as well as Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez Jr., who have all seen action this year and looks reasonably good. And then starting wide receivers of Terry McLaurin, Diami Brown, and Olamide Zacchaeus, backed up by KJ Osborne, Luke McCaffrey, and Jamison Crowder. Tight end Zach Ertz, former Lion, of course, although he never saw any game time, mind you. Backed up by John Bates and Ben Sinnott. And then the starting 5 on the offensive line: Brandon Coleman, Nick Algretti, Tyler Biadish, Sam Cosme, and Andrew Wiley. They're backed up by Cornelius Lucas, Michael Dieter, Chris Poole, and Trent Scott. In terms of the statistical bits and pieces, Daniels is not what hang on. Sorry, rushing the ball, 148 carries for 891 yards. That's 6 yards per carry and 8 touchdowns. And then through the air, 331 of 480. That's 69% completion rate, which is exceptional for a rookie quarterback. 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a passer rating of 100.1. Again, incredible passer rating for a rookie. And 70.5 QBR, a PFF grade of 90.1 on the season. And he made the Pro Bowl this year with that. Brian Robinson is the lead back. He's got 187 carries, which is only 30 more than Daniels. He's got 799 yards, that's 4.3 yards per carry and 8 touchdowns. He's also 20 of 25 for 159 through the air for a PFF grade of 72.2. Leading receivers, Terry McLaurin, of course. Scary Terry's really coming to his own again this year. 82 receptions on 117 targets for 1,096 yards, 13.4 yards per catch, 13 total touchdowns for him and a PFF grade of 81.8. He was a second team All-Pro and a Pro Bowler this year. And then Zach Ertz is the leading tight end, of course. 66 of 91 for 654. That's almost 10 yards per catch and 7 touchdowns and a PFF grade of 63.7. Other good grades in there: the backup tackle, Cornelius Lucas, 74.1. The slot receiver, Zacchaeus, 71.8. And other bad grades in there: the backup tight end, Bates, at 44.9. In terms of efficiency in money downs, they are 6th on 3rd down, 1st on 4th down, 20 of 23 as well. They have gone for it, and they've gone for it very well. And in the red zone, they're good too. 45 touchdowns and 71 trips is 63%, and 6th overall. There's some other stats that we'll get to when we're talking about this team, but Ant, to come to you first, this offense, I think, is maybe the thing which has surprised people the most, because people knew coming into this defense was perhaps going to be a work in progress. But with Daniels at the 2nd overall pick and the tools that he had coming out and being a bit of an older quarterback and has got starts under his belt, I think it was hoped that he could come in and start well. But I think he was blown away all those expectations. And having the link-up he seems to have with McLaurin, and then Zacchaeus coming into this as well, the offense is varied and it's been very effective.
It has. It's been very surprising, but, you know, with the rookie quarterbacks, one of the best things you can do, give them a run game to help them out. They're one of the best teams at rushing the ball in the league. I mean, obviously, a lot of that goes through him as well, but having that threat, having him in there, it just makes it a lot easier. It's able to get them confident into games. You're not putting the ball on them all the time. You're not putting them under a ton of pressure like you see Caleb at Chicago, constantly having to try and win plays, and that it's not worked for him. He's found a nice system where he's got a safety valve to throw at, and Terry's having a great season, and, you know, you've got a lot of other rising receivers there, and most of all, they're showing no fear. And, you know, they've been through the ringer a bit this year. They've had some bad losses, and of course you were going to expect that in year one, but they've hit form at the right time. And as you mentioned, it's incredibly dangerous. I mean, look at that game against Tampa. They won time of possession by 11 minutes with 82 rushing yards. Like, who does that? When you can't run the football that well, that means their passing game is flourishing. That means they're still getting long, sustained drives. It's not necessarily flashy and hitting you downfield all the time. It's taking little chunks. It's wearing you down. And they did what we were not able to do to Tampa. Bypass that blitz and keep him safe. I think he got sacked once. You look at that and you're like, it's impressive. They can hit you one of many ways. If they've shown that they can win without running the football, and running the football is what really opens the game up for them. So when you're coming up against an offense that's so dynamic, and for us, we're really good at stopping the run. So you're thinking, okay, yeah, we stop the run, we keep him contained a little bit, we bring a bit of pressure on him, he's going to be right in our wheelhouse. And you're like, well, no, actually, you've still got to be very disciplined in your coverage. You've got to be very careful with him. He's just a man on fire right now, and sometimes there's just nothing you can really do against those sort of guys. So you've got to be very careful with this Commanders offense. As I say, they can hit you one of many ways. You've got to work well. You can't just work well against the run or against the pass. You've got to go after both facets. You've got to completely shut them down to take that danger away. But you just have to, give praise to them. You've got to give praise to the coaching. They game planned the hell out of that Tampa game to protect Jaden. Like, he threw so much behind the sticks or within the 10 or something, like, just get the ball out quick, bypass the blitz, make your plays. That's how you play against Tampa. And Cliff Kingsbury did a terrific job, and you can bet your ass that they've got a plan in place for us as well. And with us having injuries and some areas where we're vulnerable, you're like, they've got an opportunity. We've got to hope Aaron's on his A game for this one. But yeah, their offense has been very good this year, and he's been a very impressive quarterback, and you've really got to appreciate that.
Before we look at the matchup itself, just the Washington offense in isolation, I mean, that first down number really sticks out. And I mean, I think I was looking at their 20 of 23 mark. I think when it comes to the 4th and longs, they're perfect on passing, and that's all they do in that situation. But on the 4th and shorts, it's majority runs because Daniels just does it so easily. That dual threat ability is going to be a trouble for any team. I don't mean in this matchup particularly, but 6th in the red zone, 6th on 3rd down, without having a world-beating offensive line. It's not a bad offensive line by any means, but it's been an offense which has been schemed up really well, as Ant's been saying about the coaching. They've made it easy on him as a rookie, and yet he has surpassed all expectations, and it really does start with Jaden.
Yeah, it really does. Like, it's right that Cliff's kind of helped him. He's brought in a load of these like RPO stuff, the half-field reads that he kind of had initially with Kyler when he was the head coach over there, and what he had in college with Texas Tech and such, to make it easy for the QB, give them easy reads, easy decisions to make. And yet it's usually, is one of these two guys open? No, okay, your third option is to tuck it and run, which Daniels can do better than most QBs in the league that are not called Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, to be honest. And yeah, it makes it so much easier on all these downs. On 3rd downs, if it's a 3rd and short, the defenses have to worry about, are they going to run it traditionally? Are they going to pass us? Is Daniels going to run? It just gives the defense another option to have to worry about, and it makes that whole half second of indecision. And because of how well they execute, they can take advantage of that. Yeah, there was a bit of a wobble just after their bye where they came out of it, and it seems they came out of it slow, and there was a couple of bad offensive performances which got certain people like me to say, oh, here it comes, the Cliff Kingsbury second half collapse. It seems they've both grown out of that. Kingsbury as a coach has grown out of that, and Washington worked out how to overcome that sort of slump, and it's worked for them, and they'll keep going. Like Tampa, we all know how good of a defense that is, how well that coached it is. Todd Bowles is one of the best defensive minds in the league, and yet, yeah, they did really well against them, better than we did when we played Tampa. Let's put it that way. It is a bit scary because, yeah, they're not exactly world beaters anywhere. Like Daniels, I know some people are maybe crowning a bit too soon, put him as a top 5, top 7 QB in the league. He's probably not that he can get there, but got to show it over time. They don't really have any room that really stands out, like offensive line, as you said. It's average. It's maybe slightly above average. I like the sort of pickups they did in the offseason. We're bringing in the 2 veteran guards from Kansas City, and Allegretti and Viola. I liked Beardash in the draft when Cowboys picked him initially as their replacement, and then he just never worked. He's a good pickup for them. And then the tackles they've got are good as well. Obviously, Sam Cosme used to be a former tackle. They've moved into guard, put Wiley on the outside. The left tackle as well, he's okay. Obviously, they kind of lost their guy that was the standard sort of be-all, like Charles Leno, that was like the league average tackle. QB upgraded up with him on Brandon Coleman. They've got Cornelius Lucas, who people might know quite well because obviously he used to be a former Lion as well back in the day. It's not great, but
You're not used to be a former Lion. You either are a former Lion or you're not. Just to be pedantic, back to you.
Fair. Touche. But since he went to a Bear, like since he's just come from the Bears, you sort of wash it off. Like that sort of gleam he had from being a Lion has been washed off him by his time in Chicago. But yeah, used to be he was a former Lion. But it's not great, but they do enough. Wide receiver room. They've got one really good wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, who really rose out after being a draft kind of underrated. He's exploded there. How he keeps performing with the dross he's had at QB initially in his career. Now he's finally got a good QB starting to work. But
I didn't realise he didn't like Sam Howell.
Touche. I mean, yeah, well, at least Ben Johnson did, and then that supposedly, that made them turn the plane around. But they don't have a wide receiver, like a traditional wide receiver. They have a couple of frees. Diami Brown, who I actually did like coming out of the draft again, UNC products there. Never really lived to this year. He's exploded this year. Zacchaeus is 2021 Khalif Raymond. I know I said it when we first discussed it on our WhatsApp. You look at the stats, you compare his stats this year to the ones that Raymond got in 2021. They're pretty much identical. It's insane. KG Osborne, obviously the former Viking, we know him. Jameson Crowder, how he's still going. I remember drafting him in my fantasy league 10 years ago when I was back at school, still doing it in the slot. He's good enough. And then obviously they drafted Luke McCaffrey, the sort of do-it-all guy who hasn't really seen much game time for them, but is a good piece. Again, not exactly any world beaters outside of Scary Terry, but they make it work. Same at running back, Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, who's hasn't lived up to his time in the Chargers, but he's doing good enough. Jeremy McNichols, again, one of those guys that 10 years ago was kicking around with the Giants. He's still going. Chris Rodriguez Jr. out of Kentucky is sticking out. It's enough there. There's not exactly world beaters, but they do enough with the scheme and how they play. It's like us in 2021, 2022, when we started turning things around. We had a couple of superstars like Amon Rob really burst onto the scene. But outside of them and Penne and that, we didn't have much. It's the same with them. So they're only going to get better, arguably. Yeah, Daniels might have a sophomore slump, but the only way is up really for them. So meeting them that they're already this good when they're at the beginning of their journey, they might win the East next year if things go their way, because Philadelphia don't look exactly world beaters. The Cowboys in the midst of probably going for a rebuild, and the Giants are the Giants. The Commanders, not to look too far ahead with them, the Commanders are the team for me in the East next year, and that's good for them. I like it.
And to take the conversation more in the direction of this matchup specifically, I'm going to give you a few stats, and hopefully why they're relevant will be obvious. So, first of all, this team has got the second highest number of scoring drives in the NFL as a percentage, second only to the Lions, that is, on offense. They scored points on 50% of their drives. They suffered 50 sacks in the NFL this year, which is the 8th highest mark, allowing pressure at an 18.5% rate. And Detroit, since they traded for Zadarius Smith, are number one in the NFL in pressure rate, rushing 4 people or less at a 39.3% rate, and second in the overall pressure rate with 38.9%. That's per Nate Tice. So the Lions are being exceptionally good getting pressure on quarterbacks since week 11. Washington went 2 of 5 in the red zone versus Tampa Bay. So despite all of their efficiency in that game and managing to hold the ball and moving the ball between the 20s, they really struggled, especially with play calling when it got into the red zone, which I think is particularly interesting against us. This offense operates like none that we've seen so far this year, not just because of Daniels, but they run no huddle 62.4% of the time. They don't necessarily snap the ball quickly, and Dan Campbell referenced that in his press conference today, saying, well, they line up, but they don't actually have their hand on the ball, and if they don't, we're going to substitute, and they're going to have to let us. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that, and whether they actually do let us substitute or not. But they have 62.4% no huddle, and interestingly, that's helped their rushing offense, but not necessarily their passing offense, which is interesting. That rate of no huddle offense is more than double the next nearest team in the NFL. Just to put it into context, how crazy it is, how much they're doing it. This team is much better versus zone coverage than man, and you saw that against Tampa, who run zone at one of the highest rates in the league. They tore it apart. They are, in terms of against man, 19th in EPA per dropback, 28th in success rate, and 29th in explosive play rate versus man coverage. So significant difference versus the overall stats that I gave you before. They're a bottom half at least team against man coverage. The Lions play man coverage 60.7% of the time. That's joint first in the NFL. And then Ash wanted to put in that Washington runs the most 2 running back sets in the league. They love coming out with a split backfield. So that's something that we won't have seen a huge amount this season. Of course, Miami also love to do that, but we haven't faced them this year. When it comes to this matchup, boys, in terms of dealing with Daniels and dealing with that rushing attack and with Terry McLaurin and how much we like to run man coverage, does any of that move the needle for you, Ant, with the pressure stuff or the the fact that they go no huddle so often and the fact that we run man coverage at such a high rate and what have you? There's a lot going in there, and a lot of it seems to be fairly positive for the Lions.
Potentially, you never know. When it comes to the playoffs, all manner of things can happen on one given day. You can go away from trends. They can, like I said, they like to game plan. Like against Tampa, they game plan in a way that they don't usually, because again, they predicate on running the football and really getting their name in that way. But they passed the ball for a lot of that game, and they were still able to do what they needed to. So I think they'll adapt on the road. Obviously, if they do all the no huddle stuff and that's going to help them in terms of crowd noise. It's going to help them in terms of Jaden not having to do too much, because you're looking to take the pressure off him. So you figure they're going to try and do that as much as they can. They want to take the crowd out of this, and they want to get the crowd out of his head, make it the easiest possible for him, just everything prearranged, ready to go. You know what Cliff is like with that. He's very regimented in the way he does things. But just in terms of the offense in general, as I've already mentioned, it's just there's a lot of different ways they can hurt you. So even if you've got one little leg up here or one little leg up there, it doesn't really matter. You've got to come out and you've got to be prepared for everything. Because this is the first time we're going to come up really against the level of dual threat quarterback since Josh Allen and the Bills disseminated us on defense a while ago. You see what they do. If they've looked at that game, they try and use Jaden the way they use Josh, and that, because that's the only time we've given up a 100-yard rusher in 2 years against the Bills, because they motion guys around a lot. They like the box, and then your edges are under a lot of pressure to try and contain, but they're also trying to help. We got strained and we got stressed, and you look at what they've got on this team, and they've got similar sort of things they can use to hurt us. So you've got to be on your top game against these guys, because they're going to just throw everything in the book at you. Again, they'll use the quarterback, they'll run him, they'll throw it through the air, they'll try and get matchups down the middle of the field. Because against Tampa, they were throwing it between the numbers all the time, very successfully. And those intermediate throws as well, just gashing you down the center of the field, just opens everything up. Means you've got to lighten up. So you've got to be on your great A game all across the board here. Like I say, we can stop them running the ball, they can still hurt us. So you don't take them lightly, not after what they did here. And I think the coaching's going to be massive in this. Glenn's got to out-coach Cliff, get into his head and start making him make calls which put his quarterback under pressure, so then you can start taking advantage of it.
Ash, got a question here from the chat from Major Money. It says, just a question, fellas. Can Daniels take all the hits in the game if he runs, because Detroit will be hitting? And can he keep up with AG's scheme, as to Ant's point just then, that changed the look pre-snap, or pre and post-snap? You were kind of looking at the fact that, he does half-field reads and the offense has been simplified for him. In some ways, then changing the look almost doesn't, for me, make too much difference. But along with that and all the stats I just read out, what do you think about this matchup generally?
Well, to answer that kind of question, I think it will confuse him a bit, because one of the things that hurt, obviously, the half-field reads is, let's say it's a man coverage look on McLaurin. His first look is McLaurin. If we show, I don't know, TA lined up in press against him, and suddenly he bails out. We're playing quarters instead of man. That changes his read completely, because instead of throwing the go ball, which Daniels, it was just Daniels' best route according to loads of metrics. He's thrown like 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's got one of the best DPAs on go routes. Suddenly, it changing from a press man look where McLaurin might beat TA and he can hit him over the top. Either it's McLaurin gets it or it's an incompletion. Suddenly, the TA's bailing. That completely changes look. So it will confuse him a bit. It's not the same level of confusion that maybe Minnesota gives offenses. It's also the same with Tampa. Tampa, with their high blitz rates, also like to do what I was about to suggest, which is simulated blitzes and actually showing blitz like double A gap, like we did against the Vikings, and then bailing out of it into hook zones. That can maybe confuse him a bit, but considering that's what Tampa does as well, and he did so well against that, it's not going to be a big an impact as perhaps other things are, like, for example, our blitz rates. Like, we are one of the biggest blitzing teams in the league, especially after, obviously, Aiden went down. So, in fact, we blitz on 37.1% of our passing situation plays. Daniels actually improves against the blitz. When he's kept clean, you don't blitz him, you just give him a traditional 4-man rush. He's completely fine. So you start blitzing, his passer rating goes up, his EPA goes up, his yards per completion goes up, because one of his key traits, and unfortunately I've seen it in college, was that he's quite clever in replacing man with ball against blitzes. So there's a couple of times, and yes, I'm referencing FSU again here, the couple of games I saw against him for LSU against FSU, where we did blitz him, he did pretty well against it. So that's maybe one thing that we've got to do this week, is sort of show blitz and not bring it, or show blitz but bring it from somewhere else. Just do those kind of things where it makes it harder for Daniels to read the blitz, and suddenly he might panic a bit, especially with how, as you said, they give up sacks, the 8th most in the league. That's something that could really help us, because yes, we're good at one of the things we're good at is pressuring QBs but not getting the sacks on them. Look at the Bills game, for example, where Josh Pascal in particular, I'm going to reference him because he's someone I like to stick up for. He was getting a lot of pressure on Allen, but because Allen was so mobile, he could just go around the pressure and scramble for a couple of yards. We can't have that this week. If we give Daniels those situations we can get on the move, he's either going to throw the ball to his receivers quite well, or he's just going to scramble it and get yards. We really need to be concerted with our pressures this week, to the point where maybe I suggest the edges actually don't rush to pressure, they rush to contain, and the interiors where we get the pressure, kind of like what we did from the second quarter onwards against Kyler Murray, where Kyler ran for like 60 yards in the first drive and then had 25 for the rest. That's the kind of game plan we need this week.
Yeah. Right, let's turn over to the other side of the ball, because we've got our guest coming shortly, and I want to get to the defense before he comes in. So let's have a look at the depth chart for the Commanders on defense on your screen now. They've run a 4-3 base, but I'm going to give you their nickel formation as I normally do. The 4 down linemen from left edge to right: Dante Fowler, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Dorrance Fountain. They're backed up by Jalen Holmes, Sheldon Day, rookie Jazane Newton, Cleveland Farrell, and Javonte Jean-Baptiste. If you remember from this last draft process, we all loved Johnny Newton. He was an absolute stud. Got injured, obviously, after he got drafted. He was injured through the draft process, but only came out afterwards. I think it was a foot problem. He's come back and he's looked pretty good. At the linebacker position, weak side, Frankie Louvu. Mike is Bobby Wagner. They're backed up by Michael Walker, although, of course, he is questionable. Former Lion, Nick Bellore. Jordan Magee is out, and Dominic Hampton is the other linebacker. The nickelback is Noah Igbenogany. Outside corners are Mike Samrastrill and Marshawn Lattimore, traded from the Saints, backed up by Benjamin St. Juste and Michael Davis. Safeties are Jeremy Chin and Quan Martin, backed up by Percy Butler, Jeremy Reeves, and Derek Forrest. Special teamers, punter Tress Way, kicker, former Lion Zane Gonzalez, long snapper Tyler Ott. Just going to go through some stats, but our guess is in the weight room. Stats-wise, defensive tackle Deron Payne is the leader in the clubhouse, although it's been a bit of a down year for Deron. 2 passes defended, 4 sacks, 42 tackles, 5 TFLs, 7 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 53.6. Dorrance Armstrong at the edge is the leading sack man on there. 1 pass defended, 2 forced fumbles, 5 sacks, 39 tackles, 7 TFLs, 14 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 65.8. Bobby Wagner is the best linebacker, and he has lost nothing yet. 4 passes defended, a forced fumble and 2 fumble recoveries, 2 sacks, 132 tackles this year, 10 TFLs, 8 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 90.1. He was a second-team All-Pro this year. The other linebacker, Frankie Louvu, has been excellent too. 1 interception, 7 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 8 sacks, 99 tackles, 12 TFLs, 14 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 68.5. He was also a second-team All-Pro, so both of their linebackers second-team All-Pro this year. Leading corner is the rookie from Michigan, Mike Samrastril. We all loved him in the draft process. He has 2 interceptions, 14 passes defended, a forced fumble and fumble recovery, 93 tackles, a TFL, and a PFF grade of 65.7. And then free agent safety from the Panthers, Jeremy Chin, has also been really good. 1 interception and a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 sacks, 117 tackles, 7 TFLs, 3 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 70.5. No other good grades in there. This defense has struggled by PFF, and therefore that is not a surprise. Other bad grades in there: the nickelback Nick Igbenogany, 50.1, backup cornerback Benjamin St. Just at 47, and then the cornerback that was traded for, he's barely played, and then when he played against Mike Evans, he struggles. That's why this has really happened. But Marshawn Lattimore, 45.1. When he's on the field, I think he's still really good. This defense is 15th on 3rd down, 27th on 4th down, and 22nd in the red zone. So they do struggle on those high leverage situations. And we have heard a lot about their other statistics. 3rd worst run defense in the NFL, allowing 135 yards a game. They are 5th in blitz percentage. Much like we like to bring it, they like to bring it too. And then in the last 8 weeks, they have played the 2nd most man coverage in the NFL. As much as we like to play man, they do too. 61.5% of the time. The trouble with that, Goff leads the league versus man coverage with 71% completion rate, 20 touchdowns, no picks against man coverage. He has been exceptional. So, do the Commanders change that? And this defense it's frisky, I think it's fair to say. Wagner and Louvu in the middle are excellent, but that defensive line has struggled. The run defense has struggled. The DBs, I mean, it's a room of names. Jeremy Chin is a high draft pick from the Panthers, and he's done really well coming over. Samrastril's been a good draft pick. There's bits and pieces back there, and they can do things. And of course, defensive head coach too, who's a good schemer.
I mean, this is a good defense. I know there are parts of it, but you have got a lot of good guys in there. Obviously, their defensive line loves to rush the passer. That's what it's always about. It's bringing pressure on the quarterback, getting into the backfield. That's what it's always been predicated about. And they've spread the love around this year. Like, there are 3-4 guys on there who can be real big nuisances on their day. Like I say, it does come at the expense of the run game, which has not helped. Obviously, having Jazane hurt has not helped because you bring him in for that. But what you do is, if your D-line ain't doing, you look at the guys they bring in the secondary, bringing guys like Sandra still in. They're monsters against the run. They come up, they hit hard, they come up and help plug your weakness on that line. Jeremy Chin does that. Jeremy Chin he's one of the hardest hitting safeties against the run you'll see. So you've got guys like him, like Sandra still, Jaquan Martin, who they got from Illinois as well. He's another great run defender. You can see there's levels. The 2nd and 3rd levels do like to stop against the run, so it can help that line and negate what that can't do. So again, I don't give a fuck about PFF grades. I don't care what they're graded at. I look at them. They're playing well. They kept that Tampa offense in check. They didn't give it much opportunities to go out there. Again, the run game wasn't. I mean, I think they had nearly 100-yard rush. It didn't get crazy. They give this team an opportunity to win, and as I say, if you can't run the ball well, then those pass rushers are going to get after you. I think we match up really well against this type of team, which is why I'm quite confident going into it. But again, any given day, all it takes is you to start off slow, put yourself in bad situations, and they will come and they'll hurt you. And that's what we can't do. They're going to come in pumping full of beans. You don't want to let that defense get a stop or two and then really get ahead of itself, because then it will cause you a lot of problems. So, you've got to be careful. Again, there's playmakers on there. Maybe not household names in some areas, but this entire team, and the most dangerous thing about it, as we've already mentioned, is its momentum going forward. It is just raw. It is riding a roller coaster right now on the way up, and collectively as a group, they're playing really well. They're playing strong, and we know more than anyone what that does for a team. We do it. So. Yeah, obviously that run defense is the big bullseye for us. Ben should just be putting a target on that thing and let's just go break them. But, at the same time, we're a very dynamic offense, so if it can't, then who knows? But I'm certainly not going to write them off if there's no household names in there. They can hurt you.
Just quickly on the special teams as well, kicker Zane Gonzalez, 5 of 7 on field goals. He's not been with the team particularly long. 19 of 19 on extra points. 33 kickoffs, 10 touchbacks. Touchback rate of 30.3%. We're going to be forced to return the ball, so that's going to be something to watch in this game. Look out for Khalif Raymond et al. Punter is Tress Way. He's got 50 punts with only 2 touchbacks, and 22 punts have gone inside the 20. His longs, 74 yards, which is exceptional. So they are a good, reasonably good special teams unit. It's going to be an interesting battle there too. Ash, we've obviously got our guest coming in shortly. So just very briefly, what do you think about this defense and the matchup?
I like it. I do like this defense. Like Dan Quinn, as much as I like to rag on him for certain 2016 Super Bowl events, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he is a damn good defensive coach, and he's coached up these guys. Like, I loved Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chin when they're at the Panthers. They're both very good players. Like, if Frankie Louvu came here and played our Sam role, I would be a very happy boy. Same with Jeremy Chin as sort of the third safety in the iffy role. He's taken these guys that some were cast-offs, some were seen as had some slights on them, like Sandra Still. Obviously, the big one for him was his height. And he's elevated them. He's turned this sort of ragtag bunch of misfits into a very good defense. Yes, there's weaknesses, but every defense has a weakness. Look at ours. So, again, someone who is done very good with it. And I like the matchup for us because cover 3, yet again, which is our favourite coverage to play.
It's great to be able to welcome in now to the show Scott Hartley from the 1 Point Safety Show. Scott, thank you so much for joining us at short notice. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks, gents. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate you taking the time to reach out to me. Burrows has said he will be with you soon. He is currently stuck on the M1, so he apologises. He will be with you as soon as he can get on. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate you. It's good to always talk ball with like-minded fans. So it's great to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Tell us a bit about yourself and your show, and then why don't you talk a bit about the season, because it's been absolutely remarkable for you guys.
Yeah, so we started the 1 Point Safety Show probably just over 2 years ago. Bit of a brainchild out of COVID with myself and my co-host Andy Lockhart, who or known as Scouse Andy. I've been a Commanders fan myself for probably just 2001. Like the RG3 season was kind of where I pinned my colours to the mast. Before that, I had American friends and I'd followed the game, but not really closely at all. And then obviously that draft was the bit that the run down the sideline against the Vikings. That was it. Then I was like, this is my team. This is who I'm going to follow. I kind of like this color scheme and the old name and the old logo, but we're not going to get into that. It is what it is. What we called on Thursday. But no, it's been a great season so far. Jaden Daniels he's been incredible. There's no doubt about it. We thought we were getting a very good quarterback. But he's turned out to be the real deal at the moment. I'm not so sure on his designed runs that he's getting called at the moment. Every time he takes a hit, I kind of get PTSD back to the RG3 days. But we've been there, man, and we've got I think how it's worked this season for us has been all about the culture build. It's a new era in Washington at the moment, which is fantastic. We've had in my entire fandom Dan Snyder, which is just awful. And the less said about him, the better. Obviously, new ownership, new GM, new head coach. A 70% roster rebuild, which is quite ridiculous in one season. We went into this, in all honesty, I hope to win 7 games. And my expectations have been, well overachieved on that. 12 wins is ridiculous, and then to see a playoff win, I mean, that's the first playoff win I've ever seen in my fandom, which is kind of crazy, really. So, yeah, I mean, you boys have had a hard time of it for years and years, but I think looking at the Lions, I've always had a soft spot for the Lions. Especially for the last 2 or 3 years under Dan Campbell. I've always looked at you guys and thought that's kind of the sort of franchise we need to become. Hard hitting, hard to play against, likes to go for it when they need to go for it. But you've got a dog mentality of players around you and people who on that roster have built up over time. I mean, this is year 1 in what is. It wasn't a rebuild; it was called a recalibration when we started off. And
we had a retool as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's been. But I think Dan Quinn and Adam Peters have done wonders so far this year. I mean, we've hit on a lot of the free agents that we picked up. A lot of them older, the likes of Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler, Bobby Wagner as well. You can look at, but again, it's. When the players that we had here already, the likes of Jerome Payne, John Allen, Terry McLaurin, obviously as well, they've come into their own this year, which has been fantastic for us all to see. But we're buzzer beaters as well, man. We're the guys who kind of get to the end of it, and we're always in it right till the end of these games. And 5 or 6 of these wins could have turned into losses quite easily, but that's all been down to number 5 driving the ball. And yeah, he's changed his franchise, and it's positive going into Sundays and feeling like you're going to win a game, which is really a really novel feeling for me.
Yeah, it hasn't worn off for me either, that feeling. Sorry, Ant.
No, I was just about to say, when we first knew we were going to play you guys and we look at what you've been doing, we kind of feel like 12 months ago, maybe we were not that dissimilar in that, we had a lot of, a coach who'd kind of been written off. He's not going to be able to do this and that. We had a roster that people would doubt him, whether they could go and do it. Like, there's players on who've been disrespected. There's been groups there. And we have sort of molded that into our grit collective, where we've got this culture now where we've kind of, that's how we are. And we've embraced this and taken it forward. Do you kind of feel like, has your team been the same this year? I mean, obviously a lot of players who've been around the block a bit, and there's some young guys in there, and probably not a lot of people were talking about them as the season started, and no one was certainly expecting them to get here. You seen them kind of embrace the same kind of collective culture where they've taken all this in and they're using it as fuel to almost surpass themselves?
Yeah, I think it's the mindset, and it's a year to the day actually since Adam Peters came into the team, which is a really interesting one. And I think when he arrived, it wasn't a case of, oh, we're going to go and get Dan Quinn. I mean, he was an unheralded head coach. I didn't particularly like the appointment at the time. No hands on the table. I was a bit like, oh, this is a retread. What are we doing here? But it's mainly, to be honest with you, it's the superstar stars around him that he's brought in, the coaching staff that he's got beyond just the coordinators and the head coach that you see. We have 11 Super Bowl rings on our coaching staff, which is quite crazy to think about when you look at it that way. You've got the likes of 5 former head coaches sitting as a running game coordinator, or other people out there as well. And the same thing was the head office, the front office that we picked up. I mean, we picked up Lance Newmark from you guys. I think we picked up another couple of people. I can't remember the other guy in, but he is like the X's and O's kind of salary cap guy as well, who we picked up from the Lions, who is quite heralded in your front office. Brandon, is it Sosner? I think it's called. So we picked him up as well, and then because of that then built the team around that. And on day one, I think rookie training mini camp, they came in and said, look, we know what it's like as your first day, and we're going to build a culture here and build that togetherness, the brotherhood, as they call it. It's the mantra is anytime, anywhere, any place, anywhere. That's who we want to play. It doesn't matter who you are. That's what we're going into, and it's going to be really difficult this weekend, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But the culture's changed completely from off the field onto the field. I mean, we've got alumni who wanted nothing to do with this team. while it was under the regime of Snyder. People like Darryl Green, who, Hall of Famer, heralded, he's had his jersey retired this year, and we've done it the right way as well, which is the right thing to see. It wasn't just a quick, oh, we'll have a little bit of a party for him, and we'll do it there. We did it properly, and that's, I think, the ownership that's there now, in Josh Harris, Mitch Rales, Mark Hine. They're all former Redskins fans and went to the games, grew up with the games, wanted to buy the team, so they know what it takes to build. What it's been like in the past when we've had winning Super Bowl teams. The 91 run. They've been there, they've watched it all. So knowing what they know, they're not going to put a foot wrong here. But it also helps to have a cash-rich owner when you can do things like assemble a really good coaching staff and assemble a really good front office. And I think that's helped massively.
Remarkable what investment will do for a team, and that doesn't sound dissimilar to what we did with Chris Millman coming into this team, and actually someone who understands a team. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome back to the show after a couple of years. Andy Burrows is here of the Bunker podcast. Andy, it's been a while, man. How you doing?
Matty, how are you, mate? I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Good to see you. Good to see you, boys. Nice to see you, boys. Still grafting and working hard, man. You do great things. Pleasure to. I'm glad I made it.
Yeah, me too. We heard you were stuck on the motorway, and I feared for you, but there we go.
Dude.
How was the wife's birthday?
Yeah, it's still good. Yeah, I'm still alive. So yeah, it went all right. 1,000,001 podcasts and football training and God knows what else, and doing a few. I've never been so popular. Washington are finally good. It's probably the most popular me and Scott have definitely ever been, mate. But pleasure to jump on and chop it up with you lads.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Lions fans are going a bit mad because it's a rematch of the 91-92 NFC Championship game, which I know a lot of our fans are still scarred over. And it's been a long time, but not long enough. We've kind of gone through it with Scott a bit, but you must be pinching yourself just a little bit.
Dude, we won 4 games last season. So, and, we went over there in September, we saw a win and we thought, if we can win another 4 or 5, that's been a pretty, we're getting there. Scott's probably mentioned, we were meant to be rebuilding. Well, if this is rebuilding, then no pressure next season because we pretty much got to go undefeated. It's just one of them, no one's seen this coming. I thought, it's all down to having an elite quarterback. You boys will know better than anyone. If you get someone under center that can do what Jaden Daniels has done, you've got a chance. And I would, we've got an okay wide receiver core and we've got okay tight ends. But Terry McLaurin for me will always be the elite of the elite. He's got a sprinkling of okay talent around him. Are we the superstars that are all around the NFL right now? No, but what we are is a great what Dan Quinn has brought is a collective team and that team unity. And it's somehow carried us to where we are now. And, we're about to come and give you guys a whipping on Saturday. So, yeah, it's all good.
I mean, so let's talk about Jaden specifically. We were talking about him before both of you came on. And there's been a lot made in the national media about maybe the simplification of what's been happening with him, that you guys have maybe put him in a situation where he is set up to succeed because you're maybe not putting too much on his plate early. Having watched some of the Commanders' games, I don't necessarily recognise that in what he's doing. I just see him making some great throws in coverage to Terry, who goes up and gets one, or Zacchaeus, who I think has maybe been the story of the season in an underrated way for you guys in terms of what he's done. Ash seems to think he's like our own Khalif Raymond in how he runs things out there as a kind of gadgety sort of player who, has done some big things.
Good shout.
Good comp.
Do you recognise that from Daniels as someone who has been given a simplified offense which has allowed him to just run things very efficiently and he hasn't had too much to think about? Or do you think that's a simplification of what's been going on in itself?
Yeah, I think he's just adapted to what's been going on. When we saw him, me and Scott were there week 2, and we thought we saw potential. Did we see what he's doing now? No, probably not. Have they simplified it? I think they've just played to his strengths more and more as the season's gone on. He's been our leading rusher the last 4 games, Scott, something like that.
Yeah, it's 5.
5 games. So he's been
if you take the 6th game where he didn't play against the Cowboys, which is Mariota, he was also our leading rusher. We just don't have a run game at the moment.
So that speaks volumes. That speaks absolute volumes to where we are. And it's not going to be rocket science to what you guys are going to come up against Saturday. If you let him get outside the pocket, he will hurt you. If you look at the first the first half of the Tampa Bay game, they never let him escape the pocket. We thought we were all in our group chat worried, thinking he's going to get killed. You know, they really did nullify him. So, but then for what he's done all season, he finds a way. And we get our playmakers into the game, and he's that good. I honestly, if we somehow got to this game and we didn't have him, I would think, oh, you know, we've made it as far as Detroit. Great, we're going to get absolutely smoked. Yes, we are probably the biggest underdogs that's left that's trying to make a run to the Super Bowl. I genuinely think with him, we've got a slim outside chance of causing an upset on Saturday. And it is that. It's a slip. But if you let him play, and if you guys, but you know, we're coming up against one of the best defenses in the entire league, in my opinion. So if you guys do what you guys could do, then it could be, and you sustain it for 4 quarters, Tampa only sustained it for a half, then we won't win. Plain and simple, we won't win. We'll compete, but we won't win. If he can do what I know he can do, and Scott knows what he can do, we'll give you guys the shock of your lives.
See, I go the other way. I don't think that the offense has been simplified. I just think that Jaden is a really quick learner. I think having 52 games in college helps enormously. He does use a thing that not other quarterbacks use in the league. So he is heavily involved in the VR headset. So he has a VR headset, and he watches it every day for at least 3 hours. And on this VR headset, they implemented it in LSU in his second season. So if you look at the difference between, I'm not a real college buff, but if you look at the difference between this first season at LSU and then his second season at LSU, it was remarkable improvement. What he does is he has a VR headset and he plays the game within the game. So you can put that in, and you can put, where am I playing? I'm playing Tampa Bay. Okay, so they will implement Tampa Bay Stadium in there, the noise, the play clock, where everything is inside the stadium. So he's already running these plays without physically having a ball in his hand. He gets in at 4 a.m. every single morning.
You think we could just play Saturday on the VR headset, like turn the Xbox on?
I mean, it'd be
we just do that. That might be right.
Just to bring up something here, because it's quite interesting, and Ash will know what I'm talking about. We went to Detroit for the draft, and we went around the Motown Museum. And what a lot of people don't know about Motown is the Motown University that they created there for all of the stars to sing at. And what they did, especially for Stevie Wonder, who obviously is going to struggle singing in places that he's never been to before, is that for every artist, they created a replica of the stage and the setting that they would be going to in each place. And so they would be coming out to something that's instantly familiar to them because they've been there and done that. And then hearing you speak about Jaden Daniels and the VR headset, it just pinged in my head. It's like, that is something that I've seen before this year in Detroit, not football related, but interesting. And also, one of our own, Ryan McCluskey, is an Arizona State fan. And of course, Jaden Daniels played there, didn't he, initially? So I remember him talking about how effed off he was at him not quite being the quarterback he wanted him to be, and then obviously in LSU he absolutely exploded when they implemented what you're talking about. So yeah, sorry to interject, but
no, not at all. It is one of them where I just think that the offense that Cliff Kingsbury run initially was called a college offense. It isn't a college offense at all. I just think you can work it 2 ways with Jaden. He is a good thrower of the ball. He's got a great deep ball on him. He can, Hail Mary, for example, a few to Terry that we've had.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. Sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all. That's the only time. Oh yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, man, and they dropped off the face of the earth after that as well, which was great to see. But yeah, it is. I think the offense has been. It hasn't been tailored to him specifically because Marcus Mariota came in and ran it absolutely no problem. But if you look at the two of them as quarterbacks, they're very similar in what they do. They've got very good running styles, and this is something that Cliff has implemented. Also, going back to the coaching side of it, Cliff Kingsbury's had less stress on him this year. He's not the head honcho. He's happy to just be paid by Arizona still till 2027, and just be the guy who's running the plays and calling the plays. I mean, I can't remember what game it was. Andy, you can probably. I think it was the Atlanta game where he looked over to the sideline and just said to Cliff, "We're not running that play."
Yeah, just changed. Yeah, he changed it, and it was just like, yeah, we're not doing that.
We're not
I
doing
think
that.
our offense. I think we've adapted more to Jaden than Jaden's adapted to our offense.
Yeah, agreed.
I think as the season's gone on, and we've got a fair few rookies and stuff. I think everyone's just thought, hang on a minute, we don't really need to use the term rookie with it. He's not in my eyes, and Scott. So we watched every single game this season. He's not, and you guys, you know enough about him to know when you are a rookie quarterback in this league. We've seen enough come and go. This guy isn't a rookie. No way. You get sometimes you get a generational talent, and I think we've been lucky enough to finally, after all these years, find one. We might have had one with RG3. We'll never know because of injuries.
It's Terry McLaurin's 17th quarterback.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, he had.
But what
17th starting quarterback.
Yeah, he had 3 in one season.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It's just crazy.
Rewind to what I said about McLaurin earlier about him finally getting a decent QB.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
100%.
Look at the touchdown differences. Yeah, the yards aren't there. They're not Amon-Ra St. Brown yards. You know, he hasn't got 1,200 and odd. He's got over his 1,000, which was standard. But the difference is the touchdowns have gone right up the.
I always compare it to you've either got Keith Gillespie on the wing crossing you a ball, you've got David Beckham. We've now got, you know,
poor
Terry
Keith.
McLaurin. Sorry.
Oh God.
The only one I can
He
think
went
of.
there. He went there, didn't he?
I'm a Tottenham fan. I've got nothing to talk about.
I got. Oh, sorry, and you go.
I was just about to say, you know, what is the secret sauce he's got there? I think because you look at your offense, and obviously, you know, that they're playing a rookie at left tackle. You know, I know you've got Terry in there, but there may be a lack of like star outside names that we see from there. But they're obviously making it work, you know, and it's not. Let's say it's not renowned as one of the best offensive lines there necessarily. And as I say, outside the depth, there's a lot of depth guys who seem to have stepped up. What's been his secret sauce to get all these guys together and make them look so great in year one?
Do you want to say that?
Yeah, we've bought. You look at some of the players that we've brought in, people like Bobby Wagner and people like that to the team. Even both sides of the ball. You've got Zach Ertz. You've got what we've done is we've brought in people that have been there and done it. We haven't really. Yeah. We've had that in Washington, but they've been way done it. They've been like you should have gone to the retirement home. What now we've done? We've brought people who are still can perform at this kind of level. I don't know if you agree, Scott. We've kind of, you know, we've got people that have gone, you know what, I know how to get to a Super Bowl, I know how to win it, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. So now when you're getting to the city, and this is where it's going to come to fruition on Saturday night, we're going to need people that have been there and done it, because we all said at the start of the Tampa Bay game, something felt different here. That game was like 100 miles an hour. We weren't used to that. You know, that was playoff football. And as much as we watch playoff football as fans, seeing your team in that environment, and it was 100 miles an hour. That's where you need your Bobby Wagners. That's where you need your Zach Ertz. That's where you need these guys. And then people like Diami Brown will feed off that. Terry McLaurin will feed off that. You know, everyone will feed off them people that have been there and done it. And I think that's generally what's happened in Washington this season. I don't think there's going to be there's been no foray. There's been no superstars.
There's been no off the field.
There's been no cheerleaders have been sleeping with the owner, and you know nothing's been going on a boat that shouldn't be going on. And that unfortunately is what Washington's been like since me and Scott support every show that we've done up until this season. They've gone, Andy, do you mind coming on and talking about Washington? Within 5 minutes, it's Andy, there was this scandal, there's that scandal. You've changed your name. You've had that with your owner. You've had this with like some broadcasters and whatever went on when we were in the Redskins. This season, we've had to do is play football. Yeah. And it's incredible.
And to your point, Andy, and to go back to the question there, I think it's leadership that's done it. It's bringing in leaders. Now, every week, Dan Quinn said, right, we're not going to call captains. We don't have captains. We have weekly captains. The whole team were captain
last weekend.
We have weekly captains, and everybody is a weekly captain. And what he does is from the previous week, he picks the players that have performed the best on the field and in training and says, you are now the captain for the following week. So he normally announces them on a Friday. What he did for the playoffs game is he picked 5 players. And if you look at all the 5 players that were picked, one of them was obviously Jaden Daniels. Apart from him, all 4 of them are veterans. Terry McLaurin, you had Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, and Reeves from special teams. Now, he always makes sure as well to pick a special teamer, a defensive guy, and an offensive guy to prove that is that tight-knit leadership thing. And when you're a rookie like Jordan McGee, for example, going, hey, I can pick the brains of Bobby Wagner every day, that's got to rub off. You know what I mean? He's a first ballot Hall of Famer without doubt. Whether he stays with us or not, or whether he retires, we don't know. That's a question for the end of the season. But a lot of these guys he brought in on 1-year deals. So they're there to prove themselves as well. So when they've still got a little bit of juice left, as Andy says, they're going to try and prove to themselves that's what it's there to lead by example. And I think having that leading by example older head in every room. I mean, if we look at every single room on our squad, we have a veteran offensive lineman, we have a veteran tight end, we have a veteran cornerback, we have a veteran receiver. Every single one has at least one who can take that on and say, well, okay, we've got a lot of unheralded players and players you may not know, but we can feed off these guys and they can show me how to be a professional. And that's been, I think, the secret sauce, if you like.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of feeds into how, you've won 5 games in a row on the last play of the game. It's like those veterans just pushing you to play, X at the end of it. And then, so it's just weird. That's why I asked, because, again, from this time 12 months ago, when you're looking at this team now and you're like, how different they are. Like, you had 82 rushing yards against Tampa, and yet you won time of possession by 11 minutes. Teams don't do that. They're finding ways to win, untraditionally, as you were, and if they can't do their strength one day, they'll find another way, and it's just something has really changed with them, and you can't be nothing but impressed by it.
I think when we got the
sorry, go on,
Boris, mate, you go.
All right. No, I just think it's with the Lions, we can relate to them. Shut up, Scott. We can. But I think we can relate to what the Lions were, Scott. You know what I mean? I was speaking to some guys today who are Buccaneers fans. One of my customers, a massive NFL fan, and we got chatting, and he goes, where the Lions have come to where they are now is kind of hoping the journey that we're going to take. You know what I mean? For years and years, people were just like, Detroit, we're playing the Lions. We're winning that. There was no respect there. They were just laughed at. There was always something going on. They'll win 3 or 4. Everyone was just like, well, Detroit, win, easy. And then slowly but surely, you're like, hang on a minute. Look what they've built now. And now you turn around and go, potentially one of the favourites to win the Super Bowl.
Facts.
If I'd said that to you guys 4 years ago, you would have thought I was mad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And look where you are now. And every season, when you look at people giving their I watched so many. We done our preseason predictions show. Everyone was like, I think the Lions could do it this year. And hopefully now that's where Washington, what we'll build on this season, what we've got to do is make sure we're building it. I think we will. Our salary cap's ridiculous. We will. But we're meant to be rebuilding, and we won 12 games, and we're 2 games away from the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, we called it as you looking exactly like us right away. Because again, you see your fans last week just like bring them on, and you're like, my God, like there's genuine belief in there at what they're doing, and like we all knew, with our team, eventually we can be like, yeah, this team's going places. We knew because we watched them every week, the way they behave, the way they act, the way they don't care whether they're underdogs or anything like that, and that's where we are, and that's why we're getting these vibes off your team last week. You're like, wow. These guys really and it's a free hit for them, and you're like, it does look so similar to what we were.
Yeah. Even if we're 2 scores down, 3 scores down by the end of the first quarter, I ain't going to give a shit because I think we're still in the game.
There you go. I was saying before, with 4 minutes 41 on the clock, when we turned the ball over, or when Tampa turned the ball over in that game, I was very quiet in our group chat. I didn't say a word. And normally I'm quite active, as is Andy on here. I just shut up and thought, do you know what? We're winning this game. And it wasn't never crossed my mind that we were going to lose that game at all. It just, because we've been there the last 4, 5, 6 games where it's always crunch time. It's always the last 30 seconds, the last 2 seconds, the last 10 seconds. You just felt like we're going to go on a drive here and we're either going to get a touchdown or we're going to score a field goal. And sure enough, we got a doink, but it went over.
But what's amazing about
moment?
Absolutely. But what's amazing about that is any quarterback worth his salt can run a 2-minute offense nowadays or a 90-second offense. You need points. Go and throw the ball down the field. If you don't get it, never mind. The ability to go out there, and this is something that we've been really good at, but you did it, is with 4:40 to go, you made it a field goal game. And the ability to just proceed down the field slowly and burn clock was exceptional, especially when I think they had all 3 timeouts as well. Like,
yeah, they did.
How on earth you managed to do that is great, because most teams in that situation would maybe march down the field, score too quickly, and then you've got Baker on a 2-minute drive, and that's probably not going to go particularly well either. So you come into that drive, and how he managed to marshal it was fantastic. But I was going to go into a slightly different point here, which was, before your bye week, I'm looking at all of the games that you've played, and I think you maybe, apart from the exception of the Bengals, who, at the time when you played them, I thought were probably a good team, and then they went through a really bad run. You probably won the games you should, and you lost the games that maybe you shouldn't, that you should have lost. And then you get to your bye week, and okay, the Saints are afterwards. But then your 5-game winning run: Saints, Eagles, Falcons in overtime, Cowboys, who aren't a great team, but they had won 4 of their last 6 before they played you, and then the Buccaneers in the way you won that game. I think you went from like that sort of team that's kind of middling around 500, loses against teams above 500, and beats teams below 500, to a team where there's so much belief. You're beating teams in peak moments in their season. Falcons should win their division. Looking at their talent, they really should, but they've been horribly mismanaged. The Eagles are who they are, second seed in the league, and Cowboys on their run, so high powered for what they are, but they're going to go through a rebuild now because they're shit. And then Tampa, who beat you earlier in the season. You've had some statement wins coming up into this game. You've gone from, I don't want to say fraudulent because there's nothing to be frauds about because there weren't expectations there, I don't think. But you've gone from, we thought we knew who you were potentially as a frisky team, to a team that really deserves to have belief.
Maybe take that one.
Go on, Scotty, mate. I'll let you go, mate.
No, I thank you for that. It's like, wow,
yeah.
you're actually talking about my team. Wow. Okay.
I was worrying who Matty was talking about then.
Yeah, I was thinking, is he talking about the Lions here? But no, it is what it is. No, it's been, you're right. We are losing to the teams we should be losing to. I mean, beating the Eagles at home was fantastic on the last drive as well, which was, amazing. In all honesty, I was so excited about the Tampa game, but the most exciting win for me was that. That was the best win of the season, but hands down, that was the best win of the season. I know we had the Hail Mary, but that's a pure luck play. It was great, but it's a pure luck play. And looking back at it, yes, you're right. We have come on towards the end of the season. I don't know where that's come from. I don't know if it's an attitude thing of the players. I don't know if it's the coaching staff have finally got it, because we went in, like Andy says, we went in September, week 2 home opener, and it was pretty hopeless. I mean, Malik Neighbours dropped a wide open touchdown. We only kicked field goals. We've had 6 kickers this year. Yeah, and all you're seeing is you thinking, hang on a minute, I've travelled 5,000 miles here for watching 6 field goals. Really? What are we doing? But yeah, it was. I don't know where we go from here. The only way is up, really. It's going to be very tough next season because the fixtures are out already. And we've had a look at, obviously, the schedule. But we just hope we're on that same trajectory that you guys have been on for the last few years, I think. Especially with, as Andy mentioned before, a very big salary cap. I think we're second overall in the entire NFL going into next season. We obviously haven't seen what the salary cap is, but normally it goes up at least 12 to 15 mil a season. So we're probably going to have around about 110 mil to spend. So, and then it's key signings that we made, like trade deadline. We got rid of some deadwood, and we signed Marshawn Lattimore. Is he good? Is he not good? His hamstring's still bothering him, so we have to wait and find out what's going on there. But we had 0 defensive backs at corner. Sam Steele's come on massively in the last few weeks, and I did hear you talk about that just as I joined your pod. But yeah, man, it's been a really, really good season so far.
Okay, come on to the matchup then, shall we?
Let's do
You
it.
talked about the Lions very nicely. Thank you for that. Andy, you are particularly bullish on the game. I mean, and we kind of spoke about this on Twitter, or at least you spoke about it with Ant a little bit back and forth. There's a lot of Lions podcasters out there who are giving it Billy Big Bollocks, aren't they? And it's
wow.
It's a bit disrespectful, especially considering how you've played recently.
I mean, I think they think we're. Well, I go back to what I said a minute ago. What you guys were 4 years ago, when people think, "Oh, we're only playing the Lions." If you had somehow got into a playoff run when you were really bad, and God, that's all right. They're only here for one game. I think, and I've seen some Lions fans. I think it's the main podcast out in Detroit or wherever it is. They've been retweeted probably the most by Washington fans. They were just like quote tweeting.
Not Woodward. Woodward are not big in
that's
Detroit.
it. Yeah,
they are. Woodward are scumbags and no one likes them.
Yeah,
so
they were just like,
Nice.
they were just like, we've got to do is turn up, and they're like, bring your rookie quarterback here. He's going to see what real football is. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. And then other it's like on good old Twitter, but yeah, there's been a lot of disrespect, mainly from across the pond. You know what I mean? And I think the Lions fans over there, a lot of them I've spoke to, they just seem to think they've just got to turn up on Saturday. And I'm like, hang on a minute. And I think that has fired me up, and I know Scotty and our fan base, and I know that will filter down to our players. Scotty, you know us. We speak to Jason, who's still our team. Well, he was our team president up until today. He's leaving at the end of the season. In communication with him, I know for a fact this team have heard what's been said. I know for a fact that they've listened. That everyone in Detroit. But the good thing is, everything I've heard from the Detroit organization has been fantastic. And I think that's what it would be anyway. But I think there's that mutual respect because they know you guys have been there, got the t-shirt, everything. You were what we are now. You know what I mean? You've been there. You've been the underdogs. Everyone just laughs at the Lions. They just think, God, it's the Lions. But I genuinely think this weekend you're in for this absolute shock of your lives. A lot of these people that have said it's only Washington.
I think this is the one problem you guys have got though, is you've picked the one coach in this league who's going to portray your team like 20-point favorites in this game. Like Dan doesn't do underdogs or anything. There's no such thing as him being a favorite or anything, and he'll have our team believing like they're the underdogs in this and they're getting disrespected in this.
Yeah,
a lot of other teams as well.
But
just to piggyback off what Matt said, a lot of, again, what Lions fans are talking about, one of the big things is what the atmosphere is going to be. Because for us, this is the first year where we are Super Bowl contenders. Like last year was good, but we never really truly thought that it was our year because we'd had the injuries and our secondary was spent and whatnot. This is the year where people believe this is the Super Bowl for the first time in a lot of people's lives. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely incredible. The noise is going to be a factor. You're walking into an absolute buzzsaw there. To Lions fans who think that Washington are going to struggle with it, how do you think your team are going to approach this? What are they going to do to negate that? Because again, we knew our team when we were going to the 49ers and places like this, we could block the noise out and how they're going to do it because we watch them every week. So how do you reckon the team will approach it? Because obviously the atmosphere is what a lot of Lions fans are predicating on, that we're just going to put you in this cauldron, the rookie's going to crumble and we'll be able to beat you up.
I don't think he will crumble. That's the thing. He might make a mistake, that's as all rookies do. But he's very level-headed. If he makes a mistake, it's out of his system. It's move on to the next play. He didn't even flinch at the field goal. There was no celebrations. There's no wild celebrations. None of that. The wildest celebration we've seen Jaden Daniels do was for a Marcus Mariota throw to Terry when he was on the sidelines. That's it. He came out in his press conference afterwards and they said, "Oh, how you feel?" And he said, "Oh, well, I just thought Charlie said to me, I've just got to answer some questions." There's no change in his tone. I think we need to do the silent count when we get into the stadium. It is going to be very noisy. It is going to be very loud. I get that. But I know for 100% certainty that Dan Quinn has posted up Ben Johnson quotes all over they'll be all over.
Oh, they'll be everywhere.
Basketball guys, I don't think so, son. You can't get us on a flight and let us turn around halfway when not even take an interview with us. That's pretty poor behavior. What you want to keep Sam? Apparently, you wanted to keep Sam Howell as his quarterback. That's what Ben Johnson had said to Adam Peters. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not as bullish. I'm nowhere near as bullish as Andy is. I'm quite a lot more respectful. I do think we will lose this game.
I'm respectful. I just think we'll win.
I don't know. But I do think if you leave us time on the clock and there is time left in that game coming down the stretch, we've got more than a puncher's chance.
Yeah. One thing I will say is one fan base that does deserve this is Detroit.
100% agree.
100%. If there's a fan base that deserve what's potentially about to happen to them, it's the Lions and you guys. You've been in the mud for donkey's years. So if we are going to lose, I'm not going to be one of them fans. I could not be happier for you guys, and I do. Then if you lose, I'll be a
just
Lions
hammer
fan.
Philly.
Yeah,
just hammer Philly.
I'll be a Lions fan all the way to the Super Bowl, and if you make it, I'll be cheering you on as much as the next person, because there probably isn't a fan base in this league that deserve it more than you guys, other than what we are. But you've been on like I said to you earlier, you've been there, you've done it. So we're now kind of getting to the party, and if we fall on Saturday, we fall. But that's where the respect side does come in. There's no bigger fan base than you guys that deserve what's potentially going to come your way. It's not going to happen, but I hope it. If we do lose, then no other fan base deserves it like you. And that stadium is going to be It's going to. I wish I could go. It's one stadium I'd love to go to just to say I've experienced it. It's going to be incredible.
I think that a lot of Lions fans feel similarly if we fall this weekend, and I don't think a lot of Lions fans are actually thinking about falling this weekend, but I think they should consider that the season might end in 2 days' time. That if the Commanders do advance, that there's no team we want to win more compared to, say, the Rams or Eagles or anyone in the AFC compared to you guys. So I think the feeling is mutual a lot. Scott, you seem a little bit more down than Andy on your prospects, but if I had to ask you to kind of plot the route to victory for you guys, how's the game script going to go for you to eke out a win here? Because that's what you've got to.
Yeah, it's going to be It's going to be exactly the same as it has been for the last 5 weeks. There's no difference in the game plan from here. We have to try our very, very best to attempt to stop the run. Jahmyr Gibbs and getting Sonic and Knuckles back. I mean, Montgomery's back now. That's going to be horrendous for us because you've got dual threats. I am very, very worried about running backs. Any running back that's good in this league, we have given up at least 120 yards to in a game.
At least.
So I mean, Bucky Irvin's the same. I mean, if you can't stop Rico Dowdle, what is going on? We have no no run game, no run defense, which we really struggle at run defense. And what we tend to do is sell out for the big pass. Now, I don't know if that will change, and it'll be hard to install that on a short week as well. So I don't think we will see that change at all. What we do need to do is stop explosive plays. So if, I don't mind Jahmyr Gibbs getting a touchdown if that's what he gets, but if we can limit Jahmyr Gibbs to 80 yards and 1 TD, I'm comfortable with that. Then we have to think about how we play the game. Similar to what you said before, Matty, it's time of possession, it's long drives, and it's having enough time on the clock. We need to get 7, not 3. That's a certainty. We have to do that because
and to that point against Tampa,
we
2 of 5 in the red zone, right? So
yeah, I just can't.
We went for it twice on 4th down and missed it as well.
Yeah, we did. So we went 5 times on 4th down, 3 for 5 and 1 TD out of it. But I just don't think we can cope with your firepower. I mean, I look at Laporta every week. I'll be honest with you. Every week on our parlay, it is a Jahmyr Gibbs, a Laporta, and an Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown every week, without fail. Book it now. And that's the problem. We've got them 3 there. I mean, I think what is it? Gibbs has got 4 TDs in the passing game as well. And then you've got I can't remember the other wide receivers who are
Jameson
out there.
Williams.
Williams is class. Yeah, I mean he had a poor rookie season. I'll give him that, but he's come on massively. And then you've got another.
Scott, you got me thinking the Lions are going to win.
Tim Patrick,
Tim Patrick. That's where I'm going. Tim Patrick's very good as well. I like him. I think he's very good. So even as a wide receiver 3, that's depth. And that's something that we don't necessarily have in our team. So we'll struggle to keep up with you firepower-wise. So we can't just be a shootout of... I mean, it's the highest rate. I think it's the highest line of the whole weekend on over-unders. So I can't see us going, right, tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat. It might end up like that, but what we need to do is limit that and long drives. And we will... You're the most... You go for 4th down on the most in the league. We go for 4th down second. So we're going to go for it on 4th down. Dan Quinn's already said in his press conference today, we're treating 3rd down as if it's second. So don't be surprised if we're going for it there as well. So it'll be a very tough game. I do think it'll be extremely tough, but it's going to be an experience. And as I said, you punch your ticket, you've got a chance. Everyone's got a chance. We just need you to be quite slow off the bye. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
They need to do a live stream of the 2 punters just playing Mario Kart in the background while they're just going from 4th down all the time. And just like, are they ready for us? Are they ready for us? No, they don't want us.
Classic. I love that.
Is it Fox who's your punter?
Yeah.
Oh wow! How did I call that?
I think so. It's been so long since we've seen him.
He's so good as well. So him and Tressway have both been all pro punters. So. Mm-hmm. They're very good at what they do, but we didn't punt at all last week. So this might be the game where we don't have a punt again. So it'll be interesting to see. That's a couple of $1 million job there, Burrows. If you want to get yourself off to Detroit, just be a punter.
Still got a bit in the old knees, mate. Yeah, I can do a job.
Oh man, you had a 100-bit cheer from Joshua Mercer. Says, "I'm a Detroit fan, and these guys sound way more cocky than me." Shrug.
The thing is, though, we're not used to being here. We have to enjoy this. You know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
not used to this, so we're enjoying every moment. Last week, I got told you're getting smashed by Tampa. You're not getting past Tampa. Blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, okay. Well, I still think we're going to win, and we did. So you know what I mean? I don't mean any disrespect, but like Scott probably said, I think he said like 10, 15 minutes ago. None of us expected us to win 12 games in the regular season. None of us expected us to be here. It's a free hit for us this weekend, and
absolutely.
Nothing. I make no bones about backing my team. I think we'll win.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like
You should.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's
Sure,
like
yeah.
watching. It's like looking at Adam Rank's predictions every week. The Bears have gone 17-0 apparently. So you've got to back your team. No one can blame you.
Everyone bet the Rams were going to beat us at Ford Field last year because they've
Yeah.
won a Super Bowl and they can't do it. And everyone wanted us to lose so bad so they could rub the Stafford narrative in our face. And,
Yeah.
we all said, no, we're going to beat them. We'll beat them. There's no contest here. And, it was close, but, you've got to do it. Well, there's no point otherwise, is there?
No, you're spot. Look, if you guys turn up and you do what you've been doing all season, we won't win. Plain and simple. No hiding about that. We won't win. If we can't stop your run and against the run, we've been terrible. Like Scotty just mentioned, if your run game gets going like it probably will, because you've got a really good run game, we won't win. But we need to just have one of them games that we seem to have been having. Like Matty said, we've gone on that run now for the last 5 games. Let's make it 6. If we make it 6, that leaves us 2 more to go. Why not?
I had a question from the chat. Mo Marker asks, the fourth down stuff, has that been happening for you all year, or is that something that's kind of come on recently?
We have gone for it more than a normal team would go for it on fourth down, but in the last game, it was really evident. So that's come on for us pretty much in this playoff game. But before that, we have been quite steady on going on fourth down. I think we only missed 2 fourth downs in the entire season when we did go for
Just
it.
because we can't kick. We can't. Our terrible.
Yeah, we haven't
our
got
kicking
field
game.
goals.
We haven't got field goals. They're terrible. We've how many kickers we had this season?
6.
6 kickers we've had this season. That tells you all. So they're probably thinking, well, we might as well go for it on fourth down. We're going to miss the kick anyway.
And 2 former Lions as well. Zane Gonzalez and Austin Seibert.
Oh, Cyber. Oh, my God.
I like Cyber.
Welcome to the page.
Oh, my
Welcome
God.
to the page.
They can't kick over 53 though, can they? That's
God,
it.
lads.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Go to
At
the
least
go to the UFL. That's the way.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to.
Jake Bates is the man. Do you guys want to throw out a score prediction, or are we too early?
Scott, you can go if you want, mate. Go first.
Okay, yeah. I said 40-24 Lions.
So you're going the over as well, even on the line.
Yeah, I do. I just think that we'll play it close, and then we'll get midway through the fourth. You'll probably get a rushing touchdown, and then we'll give a garbage touchdown up in garbage time as well, and we'll be losing by probably 14 plus. Yeah.
What did you say? 30? What was your score again? What did you say?
40-24.
We'll win 30-24.
Ooh.
Well, I think it will go with that. I think this game could go to overtime.
Could do.
If we keep it close. If we don't, you could blow us out. It could be done. We could all be sitting on Twitter going, well done, lads, it's over by half time. Potentially. Honestly, if you guys really do turn up and with this atmosphere and with everything, all joking aside, you could potentially be the team that absolutely blow us out of the water and we go, do you know what? We done well. We won 12 games. We beat Tampa and we went and potentially lost to the Super Bowl winners. I still don't think, because what we've got with Jaden, I don't think that will happen. But I'm not going to sit here and deny to you boys that it couldn't. You're that good if your run game gets going like it probably will. We can't stop the run. We haven't stopped it all season. If your run game gets going, we're toast. And then we've really got to rely on Jaden. And like Scotty said, we can't settle for threes. When we get down there, we've got to put it in there. We've got to punch it in. And we didn't do that enough against Tampa last week. So, yeah, I don't know. But, I think we'll win.
Ant, you got a prediction for us?
Well, I'll stick to the one that I sent over and those questions today. So I had it 31-18 to us because I think Washington will come out frisky. And, teams like that generally come out and hit you hard. And if there's one thing that we sometimes are guilty of, it's not starting quickly. Like what cost us against the Bills was the first 2 drives of both halves got nothing from them, and we got put behind against them. So if they can get ahead early, make a bit of a game of it, they'll be frisky. But what the Lions do is they wear you down, they batter you, and with Monty back now, Jameer's in the form of his life. The backups have been getting much needed reps as well, so they're just going to have a room full and ready to go and wear this defensive line down and eventually break them. I just think it's going to go the exact same way it did against Minnesota, except you'll put up more points than them. And again, even if our run game doesn't work, people don't realize Jared Goff can win games on his own now as well. If you sell everything out against our run to stop us running the ball, he threw for 500 yards against the Bills when we couldn't run the ball at all. He can win games on his own. This offense is just so multifaceted. Again,
You think Goff still doesn't get the respect he deserves?
Yeah,
100%. Oh God,
yeah. It's crazy to me. I think he's so good.
Yeah, he wins. He's won us plenty of games on his own, off his arm, when we've not been able to run it, and people just don't really understand. And people don't like his career resurgence. You don't see, but the offense is so multidimensional; it can hit you in all those ways, and the run game will wear it down. And then I think the defense will do enough. So it'll be tough to start with, but we'll break them down. But they'll give us a tough game, and I hope they do, because I will never tire of a team doing it this way, like our way. You'll love to see teams like this and how they do it and how they defy the odds and national perception. So whatever happens,
it's very strange, mate. Looking at the news and seeing our team in the news, it's just like
we're Leicester City the year they won the league.
They're usually in TMZ, not on the regular ones, aren't they?
Exactly that. Yeah.
You don't know how true that is, mate.
Ash, what about you, man? Prediction?
Seems that the number 31 is very popular because I'm going 31-25 Lions. With the weird number 25, I can see you guys going for like a 2-pointer at the right time. But you say you've got kicking issues, just something like that, just to keep it close. Like you've been doing the fourth downs to steal a possession. I can see a 2-pointer, especially with Daniels' legs, to sort of steal points, make sure it stays close. But in the end, we've just got a little too much. And with the way that we like to be the last team with the football. Even if we get the ball with 5 minutes left, then it's just prime Monty time, run down the clock and kind of seal it with time of possession. But you guys will keep it damn close. Like we've had teams earlier, like the Vikings, I thought that was going to be a shootout, and we just completely shut them down. You've got more firepower for me than they have in some ways because, they have the Ghostbuster at QB. You've got a guy who actually knows what he's doing.
The Ghostbuster.
I love that.
I like that.
I absolutely love that.
Well, their uniform is purple for a reason because they choke, isn't it? So there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 38-34 Lions, and I think it could be a game-winning drive for us. I could see us going into the fourth quarter behind. I just think it will be a tit-for-tat game. I mean, I know that Aaron Glenn came out and said, well, show me a team that doesn't struggle against rushing quarterbacks. But it's an oversimplification of the problems the Lions have had against rushing quarterbacks. We struggle against them more than most. If you come out with a significant amount of designed run game, a designed QB run, we'll struggle on defense. So if you can do that, does Anzalone mitigate a bit of that? Maybe. Does Reeves Mabin? Maybe. But Daniels is excellent at it. So I can see this being very, very close and efficient on both sides of the ball. I don't think the defenses are going to look particularly great either way. So whoever has the ball might win this game.
Yeah, I think you could be right. It's what we've been doing for God knows how many weeks now, isn't it, Scotty? So
how's your health looking on the D? How's your health looking on defense?
Because you've got the most players on IR in the whole league or something.
People on IR.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. We've got everyone now. Any straight Shaw, who's like our last eligible guy to come back pretty much, that can come back, is probably coming back this week. But Hutch, Super Bowl, Carlton Davis is looking unlikely to come back this season with his broken jaw. Everyone else is done. Like Davenport ain't coming back. Everyone else ain't coming back. It's literally any straight Shaw back in as a depth corner. And what we've got is what we've got.
Good stuff.
There it is. Right, I think I'm going to draw this conversation on the Commanders to a close, but we're going to talk about the other 3 wildcard games. Open invite for you to stay, if you'd like to stay.
We'll
up to you guys.
Yeah, I can hang around, mate.
All right, cracking. Actually, Andy, we haven't talked about your show either yet, so why don't you just talk to us briefly about the Bunker podcast?
Still going. We kind of started out podding in 2020, and that's how I met that retrobate up there, Mr. Hartley. But yeah, no, we drop a show most Mondays. We try and drop a show just doing what you guys do. We're just fans, really. Just like we've been very fortunate. We've built a relationship with the team. Sat down with like the team president. Had Terry Crews on, who used to play for us.
What?
Got to sit down and
The
chat to
hell?
him.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
good. Yeah, we chatted to him for like half hour, 40 minutes. He was really good. Yeah, we just record every Monday, just talking about the Commanders. And this is, like I say, I think maybe that's why we're so Buddhist, because we're not used to talking like this. Every single season, we always start our pod with, "Oh, did you see the news today?" Like you guys said, it's usually on TMZ, not on ESPN. So that's how we used to start our shows. It's like, "Oh well, we lost, but Dan Snyder's done this," or "but there's been this scandal," or "we've got to change our name," or so. Yeah, every Monday at Commander Bunker on good old X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. YouTube, just type in the Bunker Podcast. They recently just started the YouTube this season. We were audio. Probably I was old school for ages. They couldn't convince me to do YouTube, but I've done it now. So and honestly, I can't speak highly enough of the NFL UK community. It's incredible. I think football sometimes and sport gets a very bad rap for whatever reason. But I think what I've done, I get to do things like this. I've met you guys. It's been incredible. I've been on various different shows, and I've really enjoyed it. Apart from the Eagles one, didn't really like, but I've really enjoyed it. But it's great, mate. What the NFL community get to do, and I think now we get so much when we go over there. Like they're still shocked that the content that we get, that the knowledge of the game over here, what we do. Like you guys doing this, we're doing what we're doing. Everyone that speak to us, and the Americans are still very much inside that bubble, looking out kind of thing, thinking, "My God, the UK guys really get this now." And we're like, "Yeah, we do, and we love it." So yeah, podcast every Monday, mate, and absolutely love it.
I am just dropping the links for you guys in our YouTube chat. Someone wanted to go and follow you guys, so please go and follow them.
Is that code for someone wants to abuse us when you win on Saturday night? They'll be like, "You told me you were going to win."
We've got a very friendly community.
Never.
It's not going to happen.
We would never.
Yes, you would.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, honestly, the second
I
that
will,
full-time
of
whistle
course.
goes, my phone's going to literally, the first tweet's going to be from you lot.
I apologize in advance because I do the stuff on game day. So if there's anything you don't, I get very bantery on game day. So
as you should, mate. As you should.
It's the way to do it. I'm just very incredibly. I'm incredibly interested to hear the completely unbiased thoughts of these two guys on the Eagles game this weekend, because of course they're going to talk unbiasedly about the Eagles, right?
I hope they get fucking hammered.
See, we're going to disagree here because we don't want the Rams again. So
speak for yourself.
Well,
oh, really?
Yeah, no, all the people who still love Matt do, but some of us don't.
Would you rather play Philly, Ant?
Yes.
Okay.
I am not living in a world where Matt Stafford could possibly beat us in an NFC Championship game. I'm not living in that world.
No. I'm not having this. You have never been the person to run away from the fight. You have always wanted to say you want to front up in the biggest moments possible and show everything.
Step too far.
I had this exact same thought process when we played them in the playoffs last year. I didn't want to play them in the playoffs last year. I don't want to play them again. So we will absolutely wreck Philly in the championship game for you if you can allow that. Like that will probably be better, right?
Mate, I'll wear a Lions jersey if you're playing them all day long.
As long as you keep AJ Brown on the sideline reading his dot to dot, we're quite happy with that. Yeah.
I thought it was a pop-up book. They had way too many words in it for him. Absolutely dude. I honestly. Worst fan base, worst organisation, worst owner, worst team. Honestly, I wouldn't be on them if they were on fire. That's what I think of the Philadelphia Eagles.
So they're your version of the Vikings for us.
Yes, honestly,
100%.
I think. And everyone's like, "Oh, do you hate the Cowboys the most?" No, I can't, because I've been to the game where it's been Washington, and some of the things you see in the stands. I've been to God knows how many football games over here. And I've turned around and what these guys were saying to the kids and women there, don't get me wrong, we all go to sport, we all know what goes on. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Yeah. I won't repeat on here what they said, but you can probably use your imagination. And I'm like,
It,
wow.
it was disgusting. It really was disgusting. I mean, they really are the insufferability.
Did you see
of
the clip
Vikings.
that went viral
Yeah,
with the guy?
yeah. Oh
there
my
you go.
The insufferability of the Vikings fans mixed with the violence of the Raiders fans. Like, it's the worst combination, the Eagles. Totally. Like, and you get Eagles fans going, well, it's not, you're tarring all of the fan base with all of this. But it's consistently, every year, every game, you hear, do not go to the Eagles because you will get, there'll be a fight.
Yeah.
There'll be a fight.
They are the Millwall of the NFL.
Absolutely.
Like, nothing. If you hear something bad, it's always Millwall.
And the thing is, as well, it's the only NFL team with a jail in its stadium. So there you go. Facts. Actually has a working jail.
Got a
in its
working
stadium.
jail at the bottom of the stadium.
Oh, man.
There you go.
Yeah, it's the joke.
Right.
Boys, I got a chip.
All right. Cheers, Andy. Speak to you
Honestly,
soon.
I'll see you guys. You're coming on the bunker tomorrow, yeah?
Yep.
Let us know what time and then we'll be there.
Yeah, no worries, lads. Keep up the great work, boys. Thanks so much for the invite.
Cheers, Andy. All right.
Got you. See you soon, mate.
We're going to go through this sequentially. So before us, we've got Texans Chiefs at 4:30 Eastern, 9:30 UK time. This game is 8.5 points in favour of the Chiefs. Texans obviously came off a big win last weekend when they weren't particularly fancied, even though they were at home against the Chargers, and they absolutely handed it to them. Chiefs off a bye have looked mediocre at best pretty much all season. I don't know what you guys think about this one, but I'm just going to put it out there right now. Straight up, I'm picking the Texans. I do not give a shit.
Same.
Wow.
Same.
The Chiefs have one of the worst pass rushers in the NFL. Well, that's going to cancel out the fact that Houston have one of the worst O-lines in the NFL, but that's just a straight, dead heat. And then the Texans' defense is absolutely exceptional, and the Chiefs' offensive line has not looked particularly great. And given that the Chiefs have already been mediocre this season, they're not getting explosive plays. I don't see any reason, apart from the fact that they're in Kansas City, that the Chiefs are going to win this game. And it's an 8.5 point spread. I do not get it. I didn't believe in the Texans going into the wildcard game, and they've totally made believers of me. That pass rush is absolutely brilliant.
I was about to say, I'm living in the twilight zone here because this is the same pod that last week that gave the Texans no respect whatsoever.
Yeah, that was me. But you had a look at the Chargers and you have a look at that defense, and I was like, I don't see how the Texans' offensive line is living with this, because that was matchup based and they absolutely made it work. But on a matchup basis, this is advantage Texans all the way. Prove me wrong.
See, the Chiefs have been there, done that, and
That's it.
And, it's very difficult. They've had the week off. Generally, they don't suffer through the bye either. They just come and they lay the smack down as soon as they're there. So, Texans have been great, and they're in the right direction. It just still feels like they're a year off. They've had the sophomore slump this year. Next year, they're going to be formidable. And I will put them up there as one of the favourites to win it next year. I don't think they've got it just at this point, though. And plus, I don't like Baltimore and the Bills, so I want the best way of them both getting bounced and not reaching the Super Bowl is having the Chiefs in there. So,
yeah, I will take the Chiefs in this game. I agree with you, and I think that because they've been there, seen it, done it. I think that gets them done. They have a magician at quarterback in Mahomes. I do like Stingley Jr. I do like Will Anderson. The Texans are a great side, defensively, especially. CJ Stroud, I'm not 100% convinced this year on how good he actually is. He looked really poor in that playoff game. He wasn't very good at all against the Chargers. I wouldn't lay the points. I would say that the Texans will probably cover that 8.5 spread. But I do think it's going to be a closer game. But I think the Chiefs win it. But to your point, though, Matt, Chiefs should have probably lost 5 games this year.
At least,
realistically. I mean, you got a blocked field goal against Denver was one of them. I can't, and I'm missing the rest. They haven't. You're right. They have played quite poorly this year. But you won 14. You won 14 games for a reason. You're the number 1 seed for a reason. It's tough. So I think the Chiefs will do it just.
I think, quote Peyton Manning here, but Belichick's dark magic has moved to Andy Reid now, and it's just
maybe.
like this. He's got some deal where they just look awful and they still win, and it feels inevitable with them. Because I spent years rooting for them to lose, and then it's just this is futile. No matter how they had to go through Baltimore and Buffalo last year on the road, and they did, and they still won the damn thing. And you're like, okay, they're just never going to lose it again.
That's why I want either us to win or you to win the Super Bowl this year or someone from our side, because I do not want to see another Philadelphia commercial with Kelsey's or a commercial involving Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid. Enough's enough. Let's stop that, please.
Ash, what do you think?
I'm with you. Give me the Texans and give me them covering. I can see why, yeah, Kansas have been there, done that. They've got the experience. But as I said, I also wrote them off last. I wrote off the Texans last week because, like, offensively, both kind of similar, but defensively, Jesse Minter, it's just a bit better schemed. And I got completely proven wrong. And yeah, maybe it's me being a bit of recency bias, but the way that, yeah, that the Chiefs are gritted through games in the playoffs, it's just a different animal, isn't it? And I don't think that dark magic could continue, but we've seen it before, 2021, where they didn't get to the dance. It was the Bengals instead. There are ways where the magic can fall apart, and that's just when there's a pass rush. Look at the Super Bowl against the Bucs, where Mahomes had to run for 501 yards behind his offensive line because they couldn't pass protect. I can see that happening here because they're not everything. The Chiefs have come down a step this year. They're not the big supreme invincibles that they were a couple of years ago. They are fallible, and I can just see the Texans exploiting their weaknesses and gritting out a close win, admittedly, but just winning it in Arrowhead and causing the upset.
All right, next game up, we've obviously talked about Commanders Lions, so going on to Sunday's slate, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time, Rams at Eagles. Rams with another big victory when they were unfancied against the 14-wing Vikings. The Eagles are favoured by 6 at home. Eagles themselves had a less than convincing victory in the wildcard matchup. I'm going to leave my take till last this time. I'll go in reverse order. So, Ash, who do you have in this one?
Kill me, because I'm going to have another shot at Kelly Bloody Stafford. I've got the Rams winning this. As much as I like Saquon, I think Saquon can have some stuff. Just that the duo of defensive rookies on that defensive line, I can just see them taking over this game. I know the Eagles have argued got the second best offensive line behind ours when everyone's fully healthy. I can just see Lane Johnson kind of getting embarrassed a bit after his bit of a hissy fit they did make All Pro after behind Penny. I can just see it happening with Verse and Fisk just exploiting it. Stafford kind of gaming again, his receivers gaming against that. I admit, I do like their rookies on the back end in DeJourn and Quinion. I'm not sure everyone on this podcast knows how much I love Quinion Mitchell in the draft process. I can just see Stafford doing it. And it just because it's just like that date with destiny in a way. I can see it. I know we hate it. The repeat that we're always tied to the Rams, but we will be because that's how it is. Ever since that trade, we're the two teams that be tied against each other. And whatever script writers are there for the NFL, they want it again because they know it'll be drama for the TV. They know they'll get the TV stuff for it, but also because they're more beatable than the Eagles. So let's play the long game here.
Scott?
Yeah, give me the Philadelphia Eagles, unfortunately. I don't want to pick them, but I don't know which Rams team's going to turn up. One day they're absolutely hot, putting 44 points up on the Bills. The next day they can't seem to throw anything at all. Is Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp going to do what they did last week, where they're very good, and Stafford throws has a 300-yard game? Or are they going to just be quiet like they have been for a lot of the season? I think Philadelphia's weapons are a little bit better than what they have out in LA at the Rams. I think AJ Brown will have a big game. Saquon is Saquon Barkley. He's ridiculous. I mean, we've seen him twice this year already. The going, even like the hole that was given to him towards the end of that game, and he just decided I'll take a knee, I was like, just run it in. You never know what's going to happen. He will put lanes on this team, and I think he will march them forward. For me, he's in the MVP running. Honestly, I genuinely believe that it shouldn't be about quarterbacks, but it is what it is. He'll definitely probably win Offensive Player of the Year this year. And then AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, even Jahan Dotson got a touchdown, which is crazy. So I don't understand where that one came from. Dallas Goedert as well. Dallas Goedert as well as fit. So yeah, they've got a strong offensive line, as you said. So give me Philly at home as well. Horrible crowd, horrible atmosphere. They'll win this game.
See, this is the emotional one for me that I'm basing on. I want the Eagles to win. I don't want to face one, that toxic fan base again, and two, I'm just not prepared to put the stakes out there of facing him in a championship game. If he beats us and goes on to win another Super Bowl, like we'll never hear the end of it. And I'm done being that Lions fan who is who has something that everybody's just going to come at you with all the time, and oh, you're bad for that reason. Like I'm not doing it. And McVay's another one of those. He's a pain in the arse. He always finds a way to beat you. He always finds a way to do it in the playoffs. Not last year, but I just don't want to tempt fate again. And plus, with the Eagles, I feel for us beating the Eagles is a big legitimizer. Like people were always saying, like as one of the big favorites in the NFC, it was the Eagles there and there. They're known for their trench warfare. They're known for being like us. I want to run them over in Detroit for the NFC Championship game. So, I want the Eagles to win this. I don't know whether they will. It's just emotional. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with the Rams again. Thank you.
I'm picking the Rams. The thing I think that's overblown about this is people talking about their advantage in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I do think that that's probably true, but I think the margins are much closer than people think they are. Rams' D-line, I think, is very frisky. I think they've got a lot of pressure up front, and I actually think they've done pretty well against the run too. Eagles obviously run the ball very well, but we'll see. I mean, Hurts doesn't look like himself. If you can take him out of the equation in the rushing game and you're just focused on Saquon, you can shut him down. I mean, we've proven that we can shut him down over the years when we faced him. It's not like he's this unbeatable force, but that offensive line is obviously very good. On the other side of it, Eagles' D-line is frisky. Sure, they're good, but I think the Rams' O-line has actually picked it up. They were very injured to start this season, and when you have a look at their stats, I think that it's weighted towards their struggles earlier in the season, but down the stretch, especially when they got their injured guys back, Jonah Jackson and Steve Avila and whatever, I think they've looked much better. So the advantage that everyone's talking about for the Eagles, I think, is overblown. And then with the weapons, Hurts is struggling. Like, after his concussion, and he had his struggles for the majority of the season, he turned it on for 3 games and then had his concussion. He looked shit last week. So I think that Stafford's the better quarterback. Just much better. And if the advantage isn't as pronounced as people think it is in the trenches, I think Stafford's going to get it done. So, I kind of last team to possess the ball game, but Rams by 2 or something like that, walk-off field goal, I can see it. Final game of the weekend is Ravens at Bills, which is maybe the game of the week. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait. These guys know how much I've been a Josh Allen stan pretty much since he was drafted. Ravens have 2 MVP candidates, which seems pretty unfair. 12-win team that struggled early on in the year, and then they've been fantastic down the stretch. It looks like, for all the world, Steelers are going to get the win in that division, and the Ravens just blow them away late. It's the first time the Bills have been underdogs at home in the playoffs for 40 years or something ridiculous. Ever. Thank you. Ravens are favoured by 1 on the road. Go back and reverse order again. And what do you think?
I mean, this is as big a pick'em as any, really, isn't it? These are the 2 teams that have sat in the Chiefs' shadow and can't break through the glass ceiling. Like, neither of these teams under the respective quarterbacks have been to a Super Bowl. I have Ravens winning. I do believe that they should be favourites for this game. And the reason is the Bills, they've been bounced in the Divisional 3 years in a row. They more so, like, at least the Ravens have made a championship game. I mean, I know the Bills did 1 year, but the Bills can't get through this round. They lost to the Chiefs at home last year. They always find a way to screw it up when the playoffs come round. And with the Ravens, the way they run the ball, you hold the clock, the offense, Josh Allen might not get as much time as he wants in this game to be able to influence it the way he does. I think the Ravens feel like the better of these 2 teams for me. And I think they're going to eke it out. But this could be an all-timer, and I hope it is.
Scott?
Yeah, give me Josh Allen and the Bills at home as well. Cold helps. Baltimore's not as cold anywhere near as what the cold is. I know it's the East Coast still, but it's not like it will be over there. Josh Allen is the truth for me. Give him the MVP. Give him the MVP at halftime, or at full time. Bring the trophy out. Lamar is not an MVP for me. Nowhere near. The whole point of that MVP is most valuable player. Take Josh Allen away from that team, the Bills are terrible. Let's be honest. No one else is going in there and making a good fist of it. I just think they'll do enough. I think his legs will do it. I think rushing touchdowns for Josh Allen will get there. He's massive. He's strong. He's built that way. I think they just do enough to get past the Ravens. But it is the game of the day. This is going to be an unbelievable game to watch. I think Lamar and Derrick Henry will go off as well. But I just think the Bills will have enough. And I'd say Bills by two. Bills by two.
Ash?
I agree Josh Allen is the MVP, but give me Lamar and the Ravens for one simple reason alone. The Ravens are what the Broncos want to be and have much better talent of. And you look what happened in that first half, where Broncos kept it very close to the Bills. I think the Ravens can take that game plan, execute it a lot better, and beat Buffalo. They're just more talented. Like, as you say, yeah, it might be, you take sort of both QBs out of it. They've got the run game. So in the cold, Allen can definitely run the ball. So can they. So if it is one of those where it comes down to the run games, the Ravens have got the better run defense and the better run game. So it comes down to that for me.
Who I'm going to pick depends on injury for me.
Ooh.
I am flip-flopping my pick depending on whether Zay Flowers plays. If Zay Flowers does not go, I'm picking the Bills. And if he does go, I'm picking the Ravens. Because I just think that Flowers is that important to Lamar as a passer that if he's not there and the Bills can focus on the rushing attack, that... as much as I like Rashad Bateman, is he really going to be the guy that beats you? Seriously. Like, I know that it's hard to go up against a two-headed monster like that, but Allen has just that special quality that... It's that will to win that brings you back from things. And I know that Lamar has that too, but I just believe in it a bit more. And what's underrated about the Bills is they've been getting healthier the last 3 to 4 weeks. And people started coming back. They've got some reps under their belt, especially in the linebacker position, which is obviously so important against the Ravens' rushing attack. So it's going to be a really close game. And I actually think underrated. I think it could be a low scorer. Just because it's in the cold, there's going to be a lot of rushing, a lot of time coming off the clock. But also both defenses are frisky and can shut you down a little bit too sometimes. So despite both offenses being high-powered and managing to score a lot of points in the season, I think that I'd be taking the under in this one. But otherwise, I'll take the Bills for now because I think Flowers is going to be out.
He hasn't practiced today, so it's his 5th straight day without practicing, so it's looking very unlikely, unless it's a Bobby Wagner situation.
Yeah. Exactly. How is Wagner playing? I don't understand this. Don't train the first 2 days. Limited today, and he's no designation whatsoever. I don't get it. Anyway, any closing comments from you guys before we sign off?
No, just thank you for having me on. I appreciate you.
Been absolutely terrific, Scott. Thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully the guys in the chat will sub to your show, and yeah, guys, we'll see you on Saturday night. We'll be doing a live stream as we always do. And, of course, Ant is going to be doing his Twitter stream of consciousness, which is always really good to read. So go and follow us on all the socials. You guys know what to do on that point. And we'll see you this weekend. Good luck. It's going to be tough. Do not count them out. But hopefully we're going to get there. Let's go, Lions. One pride.
One pride.
Pride.
Recording stopped.